Meanwhile, on an island fortress carved from volcanic stone, where Targaryens once commanded dragons, and now the winter winds howl through empty halls, a firekeeper tends his hearths through the longest night of the year, and in the flames, he will see things that change how he understands his small, unglamorous work. Though perhaps change is too strong a word, perhaps illuminate is better. The fires still need tending after all, vision or no vision. Welcome, friend. You've wandered into another quiet corner of worlds made of legend. Tonight, you're stepping into the ancient fortress of Dragonstone on the winter solstice, the longest night of the year. Your name is Alan Rivers, and your duty is to maintain the hearths and braziers through the dark hours. But tonight is different from other nights. Tonight, as you tend your fires, you'll see things in the flames. Visions, memories, possible futures. The dragon spirits, they say, sometimes speak through fire on the longest night. Though whether you believe that or whether you're just tired from the work, well, that's for you to decide. So before you settle in for this watch with me, take a moment to like this video and subscribe so we can keep bringing you more tales from the ordinary side of extraordinary places. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from tonight, whether you're tucked into your own warm bed or imagining yourself walking these ancient stone corridors. Now get comfortable, let the crackle of distant hearths surround you, and allow the small steady rhythms of fire tending and night watch, punctuated by strange visions that may be nothing more than exhaustion, to guide you gently toward rest. The water clock in the gatehouse shows the sun has set when you arrive to begin your evening duties. Meanwhile, somewhere in the great hall of Winterfell, 2,000 leagues to the north, they're probably lighting the ceremonial fires for the winter solstice feast. But here on Dragonstone, at the easternmost edge of Westeros, where Blackwater Bay meets the narrow sea, your evening is much simpler, collecting your iron poker and tally stick before checking the first brazier. Your name is Alan Rivers. The Rivers marks you as baseborn in the Riverlands, though you've not seen those lands in near 4 years now. You took ship for Dragonstone when you were 22, looking for work that didn't involve fighting or farming, and found this position. Firekeeper, Night Watch. The work suits you. Quiet, predictable. No one bothers you much. The fortress employs exactly 14 souls to maintain basic operations. Your name appears in the duty ledger as Firekeeper, Night Watch, and has been written there for 18 months now. Your predecessor took ship for the mainland to live with family, and you accepted the position because it offered steady wages and housing in a fortress that, while diminished from its glory, still requires tending. The maintenance room holds your work garments on the designated peg, grey wool cloak of adequate weight, leather work gloves with reinforced palms for handling hot iron, and a leather apron with pockets for your tools. You don the cloak first, the air outside carries the bite of deep winter, then check your pockets. Your hand closes around something unexpected. A small wooden carving, a dragon, no longer than your thumb, wings spread in flight. The wood shows signs of age, perhaps 10 years old, maybe more. The edges have been worn smooth by handling. You'd forgotten this was in the pocket. You haven't looked at it in months. Your younger brother carved it. Davin. He was 12 when he made it, you were 16. He'd spent a week working on it in secret, using a knife he'd borrowed from the kitchen. When he gave it to you, on your name day, if you recall right, he'd been so proud. It's a dragon, he'd said, as if that wasn't obvious. For strength, so you'll always be strong. You'd carried it with you when you left the Riverlands. Through 2 years of working on a farm that wasn't yours, then another year on a merchant ship, then here to Dragonstone. You'd meant to send it back to Davin with a letter, but you never got around to writing the letter. And now it's been 4 years since you've seen your family. 4 years since you've sent word. The dragon carving fits in your palm, smooth, worn from old handling. You slip it back in your pocket. The duty ledger sits open on its stand beside the door. You dip the quill in the ink pot and make your mark. Alan Rivers, Firekeeper, Night Watch. Winter solstice, the 304th year since Aegon's conquest. Sunset. The steward will review these marks come morning, ensuring all positions were properly filled through the night. Marcus, who tends fires through the daylight hours, glances up from where he's updating the fuel accounting. He's 43, formerly a man-at-arms, in some minor lord's service, now content with work that requires no fighting. His corner is neat, tally sticks arranged by date, the fuel accounts updated through today, 3 cups he'll wash before departing. Quiet day, he reports in the flat voice men develop from working alone overmuch. Rebuilt the great hall hearth around mid-afternoon. It'll want fuel come full dark. North tower chimney draws poorly still. Likely needs sweeping, but that can wait. All else is as it should be. You nod, pulling your own tally stick to mark these notes with small cuts in the wood. The solstice gathering tonight? Midnight in the great hall. Old Marta wants the main hearth built high. She left a note about wanting applewood if any remains. She's making something special. Been cooking since dawn. Marcus pauses. She asked me to tell you something. Said to remind you that even small households can celebrate proper. Said she's made enough food for all 14 of us, with extra portions for any who want them. You nod again. Marta has been mothering the household since you arrived. She lost her own children to winter fever some years back, and she's transferred that maternal instinct to anyone who'll accept it. She also said, Marcus continues, looking slightly uncomfortable, that it's a night for family, even for those of us whose family's far away. Said family can be the people you work alongside. He clears his throat. Her words, not mine. I'll attend the gathering, you say. Good, she'll be pleased. Marcus gathers his belongings, his personal cup, the small book he reads during idle periods, his gloves. Before he leaves, he reaches into his pack and pulls out a small cloth bundle. Nearly forgot. For you. For the solstice. You take the bundle surprised. It's light. You open it. Inside is a pair of leather gloves, new or nearly so, the palms already reinforced with extra stitching for handling hot iron. Your current pair is wearing thin, Marcus says gruffly. Noticed it last week. Can't have you burning your hands on my account. Wouldn't want to train a new night keeper. It's the closest thing to sentiment you've heard from Marcus in 18 months. I thank you, you manage. May you rest well when your time comes, he says, the customary farewell among those who work in turns. And then he's gone. You stand alone in the maintenance room, holding the new gloves. A gift, given freely, expecting nothing in return. When was the last time someone gave you something? The dragon carving in your pocket seems heavier suddenly. A gift from 4 years ago, from a brother you haven't written to, and now a gift tonight from a man who noticed your gloves were wearing thin. You set the new gloves carefully on your workspace. You'll wear them tonight. It seems right. The fortress contains 23 hearths requiring regular attention, 12 brazier stations in passages and courtyards, and some 40 torch brackets in the main corridors. Your watch runs from sunset to dawn, approximately 12 hours covering the longest night of the year. You review the main fuel tally marked on the slate. Oak logs, shorter cut, 2,147 pieces remaining. Oak logs, longer cut, 1,634 pieces remaining. Ashwood, shorter cut, 823 pieces remaining. Applewood, various lengths, 156 pieces remaining. Sea coal for braziers, perhaps 15 stone remaining in the bins. At current rates of burning, which you've observed daily these 18 months, there's fuel enough for roughly a moon's turn before the next supply ship must arrive. The weather has held fair of late, with no great storms to prevent shipping, so the supplies should reach Dragonstone, as expected. You mark the shift beginning in the ledger, with practiced strokes. Date: winter solstice, 304th year AC. Keeper on watch: Allen Rivers. Time begun: sunset. Weather: clear and bitter cold. Wind from the northeast. Fuel stores: adequate for 30 days, near enough. Special tasks: build up Great Hall hearth for tea. Midnight gathering: use applewood per Marta's instruction. The record keeping is simple but needful. Should something go amiss, should fuel run short, should a chimney catch fire, Should the cold grow dangerous? These marks provide the knowledge required to understand what happened and why. Meanwhile, in castles and holdfasts throughout Westeros, similar records are being kept by similar workers, whose names will never appear in the singers' tales, but whose labour keeps folk alive through winter. You are one among thousands, performing necessary work, maintaining the humble systems that make survival possible. You shoulder your carry sack, empty now but soon to hold near 40 pounds of fuel, and pull on the new gloves Marcus gave you. They fit well, better than your old pair. You make for the wood cellars to begin the evening's first loading. The wooden handle of your carry sack shows where smooth as glass from years of use by previous keepers, the leather strap mended more than once but still sound. The fortress lies quiet at this hour. Most of the 14-person household are finishing their own duties or preparing evening meals. You pass no one in the corridors as you make your way toward the kitchen passage where the wood stores are kept. Your route for the night's first round is already clear in your mind. 1. Load carry sack from wood cellars, perhaps 10 minutes. Time 2. Check gatehouse braziers and add fuel as needed, some 8 minutes. 3. Work upward through stone drum levels, lighting evening hearths, near 2 hours for 6 hearths. 4. Attend sea tower chambers and ensure fires burn adequate 3/4 of an hour for 3 hearths. 5. Return to ground level, reload carry sack, begin adding fuel to hearths lit earlier, time for first complete round, perhaps 3 hours, finishing well after full dark. Then the work repeats, checking, adding fuel, adjusting dampers, marking conditions, through the 12 hours until the daykeeper arrives at dawn. This is firekeeping, not glorious, not sung of in halls, just steady attention to needful tasks. You check fires that burn, you add fuel before they sink too low, you adjust the airflow to keep combustion proper. The work repeats in the most comfortable way, each time following the same pattern, each hearth wanting the same basic care. You descend 16 stone steps to the wood cellars, counting by habit. The space below is cool, comfortable in shirt sleeves, and smells of dried oak and earth. The fuel sits organised in neat sections along the walls, each type kept separate and clearly marked with charcoal on the stone. Tonight's first load will be ordinary. 20 pieces of oak, shorter cut, for general hearth work. 8 pieces of ash wood, shorter cut, for hotter burning where needed. 4 pieces of apple wood, shorter cut, for the great hall, as Marta requested. A good handful of dried moss, and small kindling for starting difficult fires. You select each piece with care, checking for proper drying by weight and look. Wet wood makes foul smoke and poor heat. Experienced keepers can judge well-dried fuel by sight and heft. The loading takes some 8 minutes. Your carry sack now weighs near 35 or 40 pounds, well distributed for comfortable carrying. You emerge from the stores as the last light fades from the western sky. The work has begun. The night stretches ahead. 12 hours of tending fires, maintaining warmth, performing the ancient duty that firekeepers have performed in this fortress for 400 years. But tonight is the solstice, the longest night, the night when, according to old stories, the boundaries between present and past grow thin, the night when dragon spirits sometimes speak through flame. You don't put much stock in old stories, but as you climb back toward the main level, your hand brushes the dragon, carving in your pocket. A gift from 4 years ago, a gift from tonight, and perhaps before this watch ends, you'll understand what connects them. 1 hearth at a time, 1 fuel load at a time. The work continues exactly as it should. The gatehouse is your first stop, where Torrhen has just begun his own night watch. Meanwhile, somewhere in the watchtowers of the Bloody Gate, 1,000 leagues westward, similar watch changes occur as day guards yield to night guards. Here on Dragonstone, the shift is simple. Torrhen replaces the day guard, you replace Marcus, and both of you settle into the quiet rhythms of night work. Torrhen has seen 42 winters, formerly a soldier in some minor house's guard, now content with gate duty that pays regularly and involves no sword work. He stands at his post when you arrive, wearing the same grey wool cloak that marks household servants, with a leather jerkin beneath for added warmth. His spear leans against the wall, more for show than need, since Dragonstone receives no visitors requiring deterrence. "Evening to you, Alyn," he greets, his breath showing white in the cold air. The temperature has fallen notably since sunset. "And to you, Torrhen. How long since fuel was last added?" "Day watch put coal in around mid-afternoon. Burns steady enough, but could use wood." You approach the first brazier, a large iron bowl mounted on stone, roughly 2 feet across, and better than a foot deep. The coal bed glows orange when you stir it with your iron poker, showing core heat that would burn skin in an instant. Good heat remains, but coal alone doesn't warm, as well as wood flames. You add 3 oak pieces, each the length of a man's forearm, arranging them in a triangle over the coals to let air pass through. The wood begins smoking within a slow count of 25, and in the smoke, just for a moment, you see a shape. A dragon, wings spread, rising into nothing. You blink. The shape is gone. Just smoke, behaving as smoke does, swirling in the cold air. Small flames show at a count of 40. By the time you might count to 90, all 3 pieces burn actively, and there are no shapes in the fire, just flames doing what flames do. You move to the second brazier, your hands steady despite the odd moments with the first. Probably just the smoke pattern catching your eye. Probably nothing more. The second brazier receives the same treatment. Stir coals, add 3 pieces arranged proper, watch ignition. Time from arrival to both braziers burning well, perhaps 6 minutes. You make your first mark on the tally stick, a simple notch with your knife, which you'll interpret later when writing in the ledger. "You attending the solstice gathering?" Torrhen asks as you finish. "Aye, Marta's been cooking." "Good woman, Marta. Reminds me of my mother, truth be told." Torrhen gazes into the flames of the nearer brazier. "I've been sending money home to my family. My wife, 3 children, my mother. All still in the Stormlands. Been meaning to visit, but..." He shrugs. "The work keeps me here. The wages are steady. They need the coin more than they need me present, I reckon." This is more than Torrhen usually shares. Perhaps it's the solstice. Perhaps it's the longest night making people contemplative. "How long since you've seen them?" you ask. 2 years. Meant to go last summer, but the harvest was poor in the Stormlands, and I sent extra coin instead of taking ship." He's still watching the flames. "My youngest daughter is 7 now. I've missed 2 of her name days. You think of Davin. 4 years since you've seen him. He'd be 16 now, nearly a man." "I'm sure they understand," you say, because what else can you say? "Aye, they understand. That's not the question though, is it?" Torrhen finally looks away from the fire. "The question is whether understanding makes it right. You have no answer for that." "There's mulled wine in my pack," Torrhen says, shifting back to his usual practical tone. "If you'd care for some later, made it with honey and spices Marta gave me, for the solstice. I'll stop by around midnight, you promise?" You leave the gatehouse, your carry sack now lighter by 6 pieces of oak. The fortress corridors stretch ahead, lit by torches the day shift placed in their brackets at sunset. The torches will burn perhaps 4 hours before wanting replacement. That task falls to you around mid-evening. But as you walk, you keep thinking about what Torrhen said. Understanding doesn't make it right. You've been understanding for 4 years. Understanding that the work keeps you here. Understanding that you're earning wages. Understanding that Davin is nearly grown and doesn't need his older brother anymore. Understanding, but perhaps not doing what's right. The dragon carving sits in your pocket, and your hand finds it without thinking, thumb running over the smooth wooden wings. Your route takes you toward the stone drum, the central keep housing most of the fortress's working chambers. The building earned its name from its round shape, some 25 feet across at the base, rising 200-odd feet through 7 levels. Each level connects by spiral stair of exactly 28 steps, worn smooth by centuries of climbing feet. The stone drum holds 6 hearths, requiring evening lighting. Level 2. 1 hearth in what was once a guard captain's chamber. Level 3, 1 hearth in servants' quarters, now used for storage. Level 4, 2 hearths, guards' common room and servants' hall. Level 5, 1 hearth in the library. Level 6, 1 hearth in the Meister's chambers, empty these 3 years past. Level 7 has a small hearth you'll attend later. It sits in a chamber whose purpose you've never determined. Perhaps a private solar or storage. Marcus keeps minimal fire there, which you'll check later in the night. You begin climbing the stone drum stairs. 28 steps to level 2, counting without thought. 1, 2, 3, 16, 17, 18, 26, 27, 28. The rhythm helps pace breathing, prevents rushing that leaves you winded. Level 2's main corridor lies empty and cold enough to see your breath faintly. The first chamber wanting fire sits some 50 feet down the passage, its door standing open, as always. The chamber measures perhaps 12 feet by 15, with ceiling height near 9 feet. 3 beds sit pushed against walls, their mattresses covered with canvas. Shelves hold folded linens, 12 sets kept by old Marta should the household ever grow again. The single window is covered with heavy wool cloth to hold warmth. The hearth sits built into the north wall, 2 feet wide, 20 inches deep, with a chimney rising through multiple levels before emerging at the roofline. The firebox shows clean. Marcus cleared the ash this morning, saving you some minutes of work. You begin the customary fire building. Check the damper, currently closed. Open it fully to check for blockage. Looking up the chimney, you can see grey sky at the top, meaning the flue runs clear. Set the damper to half open. Arrange base kindling, 2 good handfuls of dried moss in the centre of the firebox. Moss catches easily and burns hot enough to light small twigs. Add small twigs, 12 pieces, each the thickness of a finger, arranged in a loose cone over the moss, letting air pass through. Add medium twigs, 8 pieces of thicker twigs, each perhaps thick as a thumb, arranged in a cone with less spacing. Position main fuel, 3 oak pieces, each the length of a man's forearm and thick as a wrist. 2 pieces go side by side at the back. 1 piece goes across them in front, making a stable structure. Light the fire. You take your fire carrier, a small iron pot with lid holding coals from the kitchen hearth, and select 1 glowing coal with your tongs. You nestle this coal directly into the moss at the cone's centre. The moss begins smoking within perhaps 8 heartbeats, and in the smoke you see it again. Clearer this time. A dragon. Black as night, massive beyond imagining. Wings that could cover this entire chamber. Eyes like coals, ancient, knowing, patient. The dragon shape holds in the smoke for perhaps 3 heartbeats, long enough that you're certain you're not imagining it. Long enough that you can see details. The curve of horns, the texture of scales, the way the wings fold against the body. Then small flames appear in the moss, and the smoke dissipates, and the dragon is gone. Your heart beats faster. You're not a superstitious man. You don't put stock in ghost stories or spirit tales, but you know what you saw, or think you saw. The fire building continues automatically, your hands knowing the work, even as your mind grapples with what just happened. Small twigs catch, medium twigs catch, oak pieces begin to char, then burn. The fire establishes itself, burning clean and strong. You stand there watching it, waiting to see if the dragon shape appears again. It doesn't, but as you watch the flames you hear something, not with your ears exactly, more like a feeling, a pressure, a presence, and then, impossibly, words form in your mind, not spoken, just there. Alyn Rivers, firekeeper, you who tend flames in the house where dragons once dwelt. You should leave. You should mark your tally stick and move to the next hearth and pretend this isn't happening. Instead, you hear yourself whisper, "Who are you?" The flames flicker. The words come again, patient and vast as the ocean. "I am Balerion, the Black Dread, first and greatest of Aegon's 3. I died 148 years ago, but my spirit remains in the stone of this place. And on this night, the longest night, when the barriers grow thin, I can speak through flame to those who will listen. You should definitely leave now. You don't. What do you want? You ask the fire. Want? I want nothing. But you, Alyn Rivers, you want something. Or perhaps you've forgotten what you want. Perhaps you need remembering. I don't understand. You will. Before this night ends, you will see 3 visions. 3 truths shown through flame. The first truth is this: you cannot move forward until you remember where you came from. The fire flares suddenly, bright enough to make you squint, and in the flames you see you're not in the chamber anymore. You're standing in a cottage you haven't seen in 4 years. The cottage where you grew up. 2 rooms, dirt floor, thatch roof that leaked when it rained. Home to your mother, your 2 younger brothers, and you. But you're not seeing it as it is now. You're seeing it as it was. 10 years ago, when you were 16 and Davin was 12, and your youngest brother, Tommen, was 8. Your mother sits by the hearth mending a shirt. She looks younger than you remember, less worn. Her hair is only starting to show grey. And there you are, 16-year-old you, gangly and awkward, sitting at the table with Davin. He's working on something with his knife, tongue sticking out in concentration. You remember this night. You remember it exactly. What are you making? 16-year-old you asks. Can't tell you. It's a secret. Davin doesn't look up, still carving carefully. Is it for mother? No. For Tommen? No. For me then? Maybe. Davin grins. Your name day's in 3 days. Maybe I'm making something for you. Or maybe I'm making something for myself, and you're just hopeful. If you're making something for yourself, why would it be a secret? Maybe I like secrets. You watch this memory play out. This moment you'd forgotten until now. Watching your younger self, and your younger brother, and your mother sitting by the hearth, and the whole cottage warm with firelight and family. He worked on that carving for a week, a voice says beside you. You turn. There's a shape standing next to you. Not quite solid. More like heat shimmer over hot stone, but in the vague outline of a massive dragon. Balerion. I know, you say. I remember now. He cut his thumb twice. Mother scolded him for using her kitchen knife. Do you remember what he said when he gave it to you? You watch the memory. 3 days later now. Your name day. Davin handing you the little wooden dragon, so proud of himself. For strength, Davin says in the memory, so you'll always be strong. Like a dragon. 16-year-old you takes the carving, examines it. It's good work, Dav. Really good. You think so? I do, thank you. The memory shifts. 2 years later now. You're 18, sitting at the same table with your mother, but Davin and Tommen aren't there. They're working in the fields. I need to leave, 18-year-old you is saying. There's no future here. The land can't support all of us. Your mother's face shows no surprise. She's known this was coming. Where will you go? I don't know. Somewhere with work. Somewhere I can send money back. You'll write? Of course. And you'll visit? When I can. Your mother reaches across the table, takes your hand. You're a good son, Alyn. You always have been. But don't forget, sending money isn't the same as being present. Don't forget that. I won't forget. But you did forget. You watch the memory and you remember how easily the promise slipped away. 1 month without writing became 2 months, became 6 months, became a year, became 4 years. The memory shifts again. Faster now. You working on a farm that wasn't yours. You working on a merchant ship. You arriving at Dragonstone, taking the firekeeper position because it was available and paid well. And through all of it, the little wooden dragon in your pocket, slowly worn smooth by handling, until eventually you stopped taking it out, stopped looking at it, stopped remembering what it meant. The vision fades. You're back in the chamber on level 2, standing before a hearth where a fire burns clean and strong. The heat shimmer shape of Balerion remains beside you. Why did you show me that, you ask? Because you needed to see it. Because you carry a gift from 4 years ago in your pocket, and tonight you received another gift. And you don't understand yet what connects them. What connects them? Love given freely, attention paid without expectation of return. Your brother carved that dragon because he loved you. Marcus gave you gloves because he noticed your need. These are gifts, true gifts, given from fullness, not from obligation. You touch the dragon carving in your pocket, the new gloves on your hands. And I've given nothing in return, you say quietly. You haven't written a letter in 4 years. You send money, yes, dutifully, every month, but money is not presence. Money is not attention. Money is not love. The words sting because they're true. I don't know what to say to them anymore, you admit. It's been so long. What would I write? Hello, I'm still alive. Here's some coins. You could begin with, I'm sorry. You could continue with, I still have the dragon you carved. You could end with, I think of you often, even though I haven't shown it. These are simple words, Alan Rivers, but they are true words. And truth, given freely, is its own kind of gift. The heat shimmer shape begins to fade. Wait, you say. You said 3 visions, 3 truths. Yes, the first truth you have seen. You cannot move forward until you remember where you came from. The second truth will come later tonight, shown by another. And the third truth is always the hardest. Who will show me the second truth? One who died for love of the conqueror. One who fell from the sky at Hellholt. Meraxes, no, forgive me. The second truth requires Vargar, one who lived long and saw much. Yes, Vargar will show you the present winter. And the third? But Balerion is gone. The heat shimmer dissipates like smoke, and you're alone in the chamber with a quietly burning fire. You stand there for a long moment, your heart still beating too fast, your mind trying to make sense of what just happened. Did you just see a vision, shown by a dragon spirit? Or did you just experience some kind of waking dream brought on by exhaustion and the strange atmosphere of the solstice night? You don't know, you can't know. But your hand finds the wooden dragon carving in your pocket, and you think, I should write a letter. I should tell Darwin I still have this. I should tell him something. The fire burns steadily. The chamber is warming nicely. The work is proceeding as it should. You pull out your tally stick and make a mark. Stone drum level 2, guard captain's chamber. Hearth lit, damper half open, 3 oak pieces burning proper. Your hands are shaking slightly as you carve the notch. 14 minutes have passed since you entered the chamber. Your first vision, if that's what it was, lasted perhaps 5 minutes, though it felt longer. Time moves strangely in visions. You exit the chamber, leaving the door open as you found it. The fire will warm the space to tolerable temperature over the next hour, adequate for unoccupied storage. The 3 oak pieces will burn perhaps 4 or 5 hours before the fire wants attention again. Level 3 awaits. 28 more steps up the spiral staircase. You climb, counting automatically, but your mind is elsewhere. Remembering the cottage, remembering Darwin's proud face when he gave you the carving, remembering your mother saying, don't forget, sending money isn't the same as being present. You reach level 3 and walk down the corridor to the servants' quarters. The chamber is identical in size to the one below, but holds furniture covered with canvas instead of linens. You begin building the fire. Check damper, add moss, add small twigs, add medium twigs, add oak pieces, take coal from fire carrier. The moss begins smoking. This time, you're not surprised when you see the dragon shape in the smoke. Black wings, ancient eyes, present for just a moment, then gone. But no words come, no vision unfolds. Balerion has shown you what he came to show. The fire establishes itself normally. You watch it for a minute, making sure it burns clean, then make your mark on the tally stick. Time to continue climbing. Level 4 has 2 hearths waiting, then level 5, the library, then level 6, the maester's chamber. The work continues, but you're not the same person you were an hour ago. Something has shifted. Some old, neglected part of yourself has been illuminated. You climb the stairs, and in your pocket the wooden dragon seems to pulse with warmth. Meanwhile, throughout the fortress, other fires burn, other lives unfold, and somewhere in those lives, perhaps, are truths you need to see. The second vision will come. Vargar will show you the present winter. But for now, There are hearths to tend, fires to build, and work to be done. One chamber at a time. One hearth at a time. The night continues and the firekeeper climbs onward, carrying his small wooden dragon and his newly illuminated understanding of what he's been neglecting. Level 4 holds 2 chambers requiring fire, the guard's common room and the servants' hall. These see the most use in the stone drum, requiring more substantial fires than the storage chambers below. You reach the landing and pause for a moment, catching your breath. The climbing is starting to register in your legs. You've ascended near 140 steps now, counting both the ascent and your earlier descent to reload. But it's not the physical exertion that has you pausing. It's the weight of what you saw, or think you saw. Your brother's face, younger and unmarked by time. Your mother's voice. The cottage hearth. All of it so vivid you could smell the wood smoke. And your mother's cooking. Was it real? Can dragon spirits actually speak through fire? Or did you just experience some manner of waking dream, your tired mind conjuring memories while you watched smoke patterns? The old tales say many things. They say dragons were magic made flesh. They say the Valyrian bloodline carried magic in the blood. They say Dragonstone itself was raised by magic, that the stone holds memory, that the castle dreams of fire and blood. You've lived here 18 months and never believed any of it. Just stories, old tales for children and fools. But you saw what you saw, you heard what you heard, and the memory has changed something, clarified something. You've been avoiding thinking about your family because it hurt less to not think about them, easier to focus on work, on routine, on the simple, predictable rhythm of firekeeping. But avoiding thought didn't make the connection go away. It just made it neglected. Like a hearth left untended, slowly cooling until only ash remains. The dragon carving in your pocket is proof that once you tended that connection with care. You carried it with you, a physical reminder of love given freely. When did you stop looking at it? When did it become just something in your pocket rather than something you cherished? You don't remember. That's the worst part. The neglect happened so gradually, you didn't notice it happening. You shake your head, trying to clear your thoughts. There's work to do. Firekeeping waits for no one's philosophical musings. The guard's common room comes first. It measures some 25 feet by 20, larger than the storage chambers, with ceiling height near 10 feet. 4 chairs sit arranged around a table. The room is empty now. The guards are either at their posts or taking their evening meal elsewhere. The hearth here runs proportionally larger, better than 2 feet wide by nearly 2 feet deep. You build a substantial fire, 3 handfuls of moss, 18 small twigs, 12 medium twigs, 4 oak pieces with 2 ash pieces to be added once oak catches proper. The ritual of fire building is soothing, familiar. Each step follows the last in inevitable order. Moss catches, twigs catch, oak chars and then burns. The damper is adjusted, 2/3 open for this larger hearth. The ash pieces are added at the right moment. 15 minutes of work, and a strong fire burns where before there was only cold ash. You stand watching the flames for a moment. No dragon shapes appear. No voices speak in your mind. Just fire, doing what fire does. But you find yourself thinking about the guards who use this room. Torren down at the gatehouse, the 3 others whose names you know, but whose lives you know little about. You pass them in corridors, nod greeting, exchange brief words about the weather or the fuel supply, but you don't really know them. You don't know their stories, their families, what brought them to Dragonstone, what they're working toward or running from. You've been so focused on your own work, your own isolation, that you haven't thought to ask, is that another form of neglect? Not of family, but of community, fellowship, the simple human connection that makes life bearable. Marta's words relayed through Marcus. Family can be the people you work alongside. You make your mark on the tally stick and move to the servants' hall, some 50 feet down the corridor. The servants' hall measures roughly 20 feet by 15, with 2 long tables and benches. The walls show bare stone, save for one faded tapestry depicting some Targaryen victory. You build another fire here, 3 oak pieces plus 1 ash piece. The process takes 13 minutes. As the fire establishes, you think about old Marta. She lost her children to winter fever. You know that much, but you don't know how many children. You don't know their names. You don't know if she has other family elsewhere, or if the 14-person household at Dragonstone is all the family she has left. You know she's been cooking since dawn for tonight's solstice gathering. You know she wanted applewood for the great hall hearth. You know she described tonight as a night for family. But you don't really know her, do you? You've worked alongside her for 18 months, accepting her food, nodding thanks, but never asking about her life, her losses, her reasons for staying in this reduced fortress when she could likely find easier work on the mainland. The fire burns strong now. You check the damper, half open, drawing well. You make your mark on the tally stick. Level 5 awaits. The library. 28 more steps up the spiral staircase. Your carry sack is getting lighter. You've used 19 oak pieces and 3 ash pieces so far. 11 oak pieces, 5 ash pieces, and 4 apple pieces remain. You climb the stairs, legs protesting slightly, but not failing. Your breathing stays steady. You've done this climb hundreds of times. The library chamber runs larger than most others, 30 feet by 25, with ceiling height near 10 feet to fit tall shelves. Some 300 volumes sit organised by subject on the shelves. You've been in this library perhaps 50 times over 18 months, always to tend the hearth, never to read. You can read, your mother taught you basics, enough to manage the duty ledger and fuel accounts, but you've never thought to explore what knowledge sits here, waiting to be discovered. More neglect, not of family or community, but of, what? Self-improvement? Curiosity? The chance to learn something beyond firekeeping? The library fire requires special care. Books and parchment take harm from excessive heat. You select smaller oak pieces, perhaps thick as a wrist rather than thick as a forearm, and arrange them with extra spacing for slower burning. As you work, you notice the titles visible on nearby spines. Histories of the conquest, treatises on agriculture, maps of the known world, the lives of 4 kings, knowledge, freely available. You need only reach out and take it. Why haven't you? The fire establishes itself with care and patience. The hood draws smoke away from the books, while directing heat into the room. You observe for 3 minutes to ensure everything burns proper. 16 minutes total for the library fire. You make your mark on the tally stick and head for level 6. The master's chamber has sat empty these 3 years. 15 feet by 12, with shelves holding dust where once there were instruments and books. You build a minimal fire here. 2 oak pieces only, just enough to keep the chamber from growing dangerously cold and damp. 9 minutes of work. As the fire catches, you think, the Meister left 3 years ago. But before he left, he lived here. He worked here. He likely sat at that dust-covered desk and studied by candlelight, learning, thinking, trying to understand the world. Did anyone ask him about his work? Did anyone care what he was studying? Or was he, like you, just another worker performing a necessary task, present but not truly known? You don't have answers. You only have questions and the growing sense that you've been living half asleep for 4 years, moving through routines without really being present in your own life. The fire burns, you mark your tally stick, you've now completed 6 hearths in the stone drum. Your carry sack contains 6 oak pieces, 5 ash pieces, 4 apple pieces. You need to descend and reload before tackling the sea tower hearths. 84 steps down, 28 per level, 3 levels. As you descend, you count automatically, but your mind wanders to what Balerion said. The second truth will come later tonight. Vhagar will show you the present winter. The present winter. Not the past, which you've now remembered, but the present. The lives unfolding around you right now, in this fortress, among the 14 souls who work here. What will that vision show you? What truth about the present are you failing to see? You reach ground level and head for the wood cellars. Second loading of the night ahead. Meanwhile, the fires you've lit burn steadily in their chambers, warming empty rooms and occupied spaces alike, making no distinction, serving their simple purpose. And you, the firekeeper, descend into the earth to gather more fuel, your mind full of memories and questions, your pocket holding a wooden dragon carved by a brother you haven't spoken to in 4 years. The night is not yet half done. 2 more visions wait, 2 more truths to be shown through flame. But for now, there is work, always work. 1 fuel load at a time, 1 hearth at a time. The work continues. The 16 steps down to the wood cellars feel longer tonight. Meanwhile, somewhere in the deep mines beneath Casterly Rock, the great Lannister fortress carved into living stone, workers are descending far deeper, hundreds of feet into the earth to extract gold. Here on Dragonstone, your descent is modest by comparison, but the principle is the same, going down into darkness to gather what is needed above. The cellar temperature holds steady at comfortable levels, cool enough that wood dries properly, warm enough that your breath doesn't show. The space smells of dried oak and earth and centuries of stored fuel. The fuel sits organised along the walls, each type clearly separated. Oak in one section, ash in another, the dwindling supply of applewood in a third. Someone, decades or centuries ago, carved labels into the stone wall above each section. The letters are worn nearly smooth, but still legible. Oaky, ash, fruit wood, coal. You wonder who carved those labels. Some previous firekeeper, probably. Someone who understood that clear organisation makes the work easier for those who come after. Another small gift, in its way. A favour done for strangers across time. The carver never knew you, will never know you, but their work helps you nonetheless. How many small gifts like that exist in the world? How many acts of consideration that go unnoticed, unremarked, but make life slightly easier for others? You begin selecting fuel for your second load. 15 pieces of oak, shorter cut. Each piece weighs perhaps 10 or 11 ounces. You check each one by weight and appearance. Good dry wood, no visible rot, no excessive moisture. The wood should make a solid thock sound when pieces knock together, not a dull thud. These pieces sound right. 6 pieces of ash wood, shorter cut. Ash is denser than oak, burns hotter. Each piece weighs perhaps 12 ounces, also properly dried. You keep the 4 pieces of applewood from your first load. They're reserved for the Great Hall, and you haven't reached the Great Hall yet. Total weight for this loading, perhaps 25 pounds. Lighter than your first load since you're not starting from empty. The loading process takes 6 minutes. Your movements are efficient, practiced. You could do this in your sleep by now. As you work, you find yourself thinking about Marcus again. The gloves he gave you. You're wearing them now. And they're good gloves. The leather is supple, the reinforced palms are well stitched, the fit is comfortable. Marcus noticed your old gloves were wearing thin. He didn't mention it. He didn't make a show of it. He just quietly acquired new gloves and gave them to you with minimal ceremony. That's the kind of man Marcus is, you realise. Practical, direct. Not given to excessive sentiment, but attentive to the needs of others. He maintains the fires during daylight with the same quiet competence you bring to night work. He keeps detailed fuel accounts. He leaves fires burning strong at shift end, so you don't start your watch fighting to rebuild dying fires. Professional courtesy, yes, but more than that, respect for the work, respect for the person doing the work. Have you shown the same respect in return? Have you been as attentive to his needs as he's been to yours? You're not sure. You've been so focused on performing your own duties competently that you haven't thought much about how your work affects his work, or what small courtesies you might extend that would make his job easier. More neglect, not dramatic, not intentional, just the slow accumulation of not paying attention. You shoulder your carry sack, now weighing perhaps 40 pounds total, and head back up the 16 steps to ground level. The sea tower awaits. 3 chambers, each requiring careful fire building due to their exposure to sea wind and cold. This is always the most challenging part of the evening rounds. You emerge from the wood cellars and head for the east corridor, approximately 150 feet from your current position. The corridor temperature has dropped noticeably since sunset. Your breath shows thick now, hanging in the air like fog. The cold is seeping in through the stone walls, seeking every unheated space, trying to reclaim the fortress from human habitation. Winter is patient. Winter is relentless. Winter doesn't care about your fires or your small human warmth. Winter simply waits, vast and cold and inevitable. But fire is also patient. Fire also waits. Fire, tended properly, can hold winter at bay through the darkest nights. This is the ancient bargain. Humans feed fire, fire keeps humans alive. Simple as that. No magic required. Just wood and flame and consistent attention. You reach the east corridor and walk its length. The walls here are carved with Valyrian glyphs whose meanings have been lost. The stone itself is volcanic basalt, black as dragon glass, shot through with veins of reddish mineral that look like dried blood. Dragonstone. Named for the dragons that once roosted here. Named for the dragon lords who once ruled here. Named for the Valyrian magic that shaped the stone into a fortress 400 years ago. All that history, all that power, all reduced now to 14 souls performing necessary work in a place built for hundreds. Does the stone remember its glory? Do the empty chambers mourn their abandonment? Or is stone just stone, indifferent to human concerns, simply existing as it has existed for millennia? You don't know. You're a firekeeper, not a philosopher. Your expertise is fuel loads and damper settings, not the nature of memory and stone. But tonight, this strange solstice night when dragon spirits supposedly speak through flame, you find yourself wondering about things you normally don't wonder about. The sea tower door looms ahead. Heavy oak, iron-bound, thick as a man's hand. You push it open with effort. The door weighs perhaps 80 or 90 pounds, but swings smooth on its hinges. Cold air rushes out to meet you. Not just cool, truly cold. Cold that bites exposed skin. Cold that makes your eyes water. The temperature inside the tower's base chamber is bitter, perhaps just above freezing. The sea wind penetrates through tiny gaps in the window. Shutters, carrying salt smell, and the constant thunder of waves breaking against cliffs 200 feet below. The lowest chamber measures some 15 feet across, the tower being round, with domed ceiling reaching near 12 feet at its highest point. 3 narrow windows pierce the seaward wall, currently covered with heavy wooden shutters. The hearth sits built into the south wall, opposite the sea. The firebox runs larger than standard interior hearths, better than 2 feet wide by 2 feet deep. You check the damper, fully open, which seems odd but makes sense for this location. Marcus likely left it open because this hearth sometimes struggles with draw due to variable wind patterns. The ash from yesterday's fire has been cleared. You begin building. 3 handfuls of moss, extra due to cold temperature. 12 small twigs, 8 medium twigs. 4 oak pieces, each the length of a man's forearm, arranged with good spacing. You place a coal from your fire carrier into the moss base. The cold temperature slows the catching. Moss smoking, 14 heartbeats instead of the usual 8. Moss flames, 25 heartbeats instead of the usual 15. Small twigs, 65 heartbeats. Medium twigs. Time to count slowly to 190, but eventually, inevitably, the fire establishes itself. Oak begins to char, then burn. The flames grow from tentative flickers to confident burning. You work on the damper setting. Half open creates wavering smoke. 5/8 open creates steady rise. You settle on 5/8 and observe for 2 minutes to ensure stability. Total time, 17 minutes. The chamber is already noticeably warmer near the hearth, perhaps 10 degrees warmer within 6 feet of the fire. The stone walls will slowly absorb heat and begin radiating it back, gradually raising the overall chamber temperature to bearable levels. You make your mark on the tally stick. Sea tower lower chamber, hearth lit, damper 5/8 open, 4 oak pieces, burning proper. As you finish the marking, you glance at the fire one more time, and in the flames you see a shape. Not Balerian this time, smaller, sleeker, still massive. All dragons are massive, but with different proportions. Longer neck, narrower head, wings that seem built for speed rather than raw power. The shape holds for 3 heartbeats, clearly visible in the flames. Then it's gone. But you heard no words, received no vision, just the shape, present and then absent. A sign, perhaps. A reminder that the night's visions are not yet complete. That Vargar waits to show you the second truth, the present winter. You shoulder your carry sack and head for the spiral staircase. 32 steps up to the middle chamber. The climbing is noticeably harder now. Your legs are tired. You've ascended perhaps 300 steps total tonight, counting all your various climbs and descents. That's roughly 75 or 80 feet of vertical travel. Not exhausting, but definitely noticeable. You count as you climb. 1, 2, 3, 16, halfway. 30, 31, 32. The middle chamber matches the lower chamber in diameter, but has slightly lower ceiling. This is the chamber Marcus mentioned has drawing trouble. The hearth sometimes puffs smoke back into the room when wind comes from certain directions. Temperature, bitter cold, worse than the lower chamber. You check the hearth carefully. The chimney opening shows standard size. The fire brick displays no cracks, but the damper has some looseness. It doesn't sit quite tight in closed position. Mental note to mention this to Marcus. Not urgent, but worth addressing eventually. You build the fire, standard moss and twig arrangement, 4 oak pieces. The catching time runs similar to the lower chamber due to cold. Damper work is tricky here. You start at half open, smoke wavers, 5/8 open, still wavering. 2/3 open, steady rise, finally. You observe for 3 minutes to ensure the setting holds, despite variable wind gusts. Total time, 18 minutes. Mark on tally stick. Sea tower middle chamber. Hearth lit, damper 2/3 open, 4 oak pieces, burning adequate. Damper shows looseness. The upper chamber awaits. 32 more steps. Your legs protest as you climb, not painfully, just tiredly. You've been working for perhaps 4 hours now, and the sustained climbing is accumulating. But you climb, 1 step at a time. Counting maintains rhythm. 1, 2, 3. The upper chamber runs coldest yet. The temperature is truly bitter. Well below freezing. Your breath hangs so thick it's almost solid. But the hearth here is your favourite in terms of craft. The stone surround is carved with dragons or sea serpents, rendered in flowing curves. The work is detailed enough to see individual scales. Beautiful work. Someone cared about this hearth. Someone took time to make it not just functional, but beautiful. Another gift across time. The carver never knew you, but their work gives you a moment of appreciation on a cold night. You build the fire with your usual care. The cold temperature means very slow catching, but eventually the fire establishes itself. The damper here has strongest draw due to height and wind exposure. You set it to 3/8 open, 5/8 closed, and the smoke rises at perfect steady pace. Total time, 16 minutes. Mark on tally stick. Sea tower upper chamber. Hearth lit. Damper 3/8 open. 4 oak pieces, burning well. Strong draw. You've completed the 3 sea tower hearths. Your carry sack is now quite light. 2 oak pieces, 2 ash pieces remaining, plus the 4 apple pieces reserved for the Great Hall. You descend the 64 steps back to the tower's base, 32 to middle level, 32 more to bottom. The descent is easier on your legs than climbing, but you have to be careful not to go too fast and risk stumbling. You exit the sea tower, and check your mental accounting. Time. Perhaps 5 hours into your watch now. Halfway through the 12-hour shift. Hearths lit. 10 total. Gatehouse braziers as 1 unit. 6 stone drum hearths. 3 sea tower hearths. Fuel consumed. 40 oak pieces. 3 ash pieces. Next tasks. 1. Reload carry sack 1 more time. 2. Build up Great Hall hearth for midnight gathering using apple wood. 3. Begin first fuel adding rounds to hearths lit earlier. 4. Higgs. Wait for the second vision. Vagar showing the present winter. The night continues. The work continues. And somewhere ahead in the darkness, more truths wait to be revealed through flame. Chapter 6. Great Hall. Preparation. Apple wood. The wood sellers await your third loading of the night. Meanwhile, somewhere in the great kitchens of Highgarden, thousands of leagues to the south, where winter never truly arrives with full force, the cooks are probably cleaning up after their solstice feast. Here on cold Dragonstone, old Marta is still preparing food, working steadily toward the midnight gathering that marks the household celebration. You descend the 16 steps, at perhaps 5 hours, into your watch. Your legs feel the accumulated climbing. You've ascended and descended these particular steps 6 times now, along with all the stone drum and sea tower stairs. But the descent is manageable, and the brief rest while loading fuel will help. The cellar temperature remains steady at comfortable levels. The wood sits in its organised sections waiting. Third loading of the night. Oak pieces longer cut. 8 pieces for the Great Hall foundation. Oak pieces shorter cut. 12 pieces for later fuel adding rounds. Ash pieces shorter cut. 4 pieces for hot burning where needed. Apple wood, shorter cut. 4 pieces that you're already carrying. These are specifically for the Great Hall per Marta's request. Total weight, approximately 35 pounds. As you select the longer oak pieces, each one perhaps 18 inches long and thick as a strong man's forearm, you find yourself thinking about Marta's request for apple wood. She could have specified any wood. Oak burns fine, ash burns hot. Either would serve for the Great Hall hearth, but she specifically asked for apple wood, and Marcus specifically mentioned it, and you specifically carried those 4 pieces through your entire evening rounds, saving them for this moment. Why apple wood? Because it smells pleasant when it burns. A subtle sweetness in the smoke, not overwhelming, just nice, creating atmosphere, making the space more welcoming for the gathering. Marta thought about that. She thought about what would make the midnight gathering feel special, feel warm, feel like a proper celebration, despite the reduced household and the isolation and the endless winter. She's been cooking since dawn. Marcus mentioned that. 12 hours of work minimum preparing food for 14 people. Not simple food. Something special, Marcus said. Marta's putting effort into this gathering. Real effort. Creating something meaningful from very little. Another gift given freely. Labour offered without expectation of grand reward. Just making something good because good things are worth making. You finish loading your carry sack. 8 minutes have passed. You climb back up the 16 steps to ground level and head for the Great Hall. The massive carved doors stand open, each one 3 meters tall and 1.5 meters wide, carved with the 3-headed dragon sigil of House Targaryen. You've passed through these doors hundreds of times over 18 months, but tonight you actually look at the carving. Really look at it. The 3 dragon heads are rendered in different positions. One facing forward, mouth open in what might be a roar or might be fire breathing. One facing left, mouth closed, expression almost contemplative. One facing right, mouth open but not aggressively, more like speaking or calling. The carving is worn from centuries of weather and handling, but the craftsmanship remains visible. Whoever carved this understood dragons, understood how muscle and scale and bone would move, made each head distinct, individual, not just 3 identical copies. More beautiful work that you've been walking past without seeing. More gifts from the past that you've been too preoccupied to notice. You enter the hall. The Great Hall is the largest space in the fortress, 90 feet long by 60 feet wide, with ceiling height reaching 30 feet at the peak of the vaulted roof. The stone walls are carved with scenes from Targaryen history, dragons in flight, kings in victory poses, battles and coronations rendered in permanent stone. At the far end of the hall, elevated on a platform, sits the painted table, a massive carved map of Westeros that serves no current strategic purpose, but remains as a historical artifact too valuable and heavy to move. The temperature is cold, perhaps just above freezing. The hall's massive volume loses heat quickly without active fires. The Great Hall's hearth is proportional to the space, 6 feet wide by 4 feet deep, with firebox volume that could easily hold a grown man if he crouched. The chimney is massive, 2 feet in diameter, rising 50 feet through multiple floors before emerging at the roofline. Currently, the fire from this morning's tending has burned down to just coals. You stir them with your poker. They show some dull red glow, indicating core temperature, perhaps around 400 degrees. Not hot enough to easily catch wood directly, but adequate if you add kindling first. You begin building the Great Hall fire for the midnight gathering. This will be the most substantial fire you've built tonight. Stage 1. Revive the coal bed. You add substantial kindling directly onto the coals, 3 handfuls of dried moss, 20 pieces of small twigs, 15 pieces of medium twigs. The kindling catches slowly due to the lower coal temperature. Moss smoking, 35 heartbeats, small twigs catching. Time to count slowly to 130. Medium twigs fully engaged. Time to count slowly to 270. Now you have a modest fire burning in the centre of the large firebox. Temperature at coal bed has risen to perhaps 650 degrees. Stage 2. Build the Yule foundation. You begin creating the structure that will support a large, long-burning fire. First layer, large oak logs. You select 4 pieces of the 18-inch oak and place them parallel across the back of the firebox. Each piece weighs perhaps 20 ounces. The combined weight creates substantial mass that will burn slowly. Second layer, perpendicular oak logs. You place 3 more pieces of 18-inch oak perpendicular to the first layer, creating a grid pattern. This arrangement promotes air circulation while creating stable structure. The kindling fire is now spreading into the foundation logs. You can hear the wood beginning to char, a subtle crackling sound that indicates heat is penetrating the fuel. Stage 3. Add hot burning fuel. On top of the oak foundation, you add the 4 pieces of ash wood. Ash burns hotter than oak and will create the intense heat needed to warm the large hall volume. Stage 4. Add the applewood. This is Marta's request. Applewood for its pleasant scent during celebrations. You place all 4 pieces of applewood on top of the ash layer. The wood is pale, almost white, with fine grain. Good quality fruitwood, probably from the fortress's orchard years ago, when someone still tended it. You arrange the pieces carefully, making sure they'll catch properly from the ash burning below. Stage 5. Final layer. You add 1 more piece of 18-inch oak on top, which will catch from the applewood below and provide final mass for extended burning. The fire is now building substantially. The kindling has spread to the foundation layer, which is beginning to burn actively. You observe the progression. At 3 minutes, foundation layer fully engaged. At 5 minutes, second layer catching. At 7 minutes, ashwood beginning to burn. At 9 minutes, applewood smoking and beginning to flame. And there, in the smoke rising from the applewood, you see the shape again. Not Balerian's massive bulk. Not the smaller, sleeker shape you glimpsed in the sea tower. This is different. Larger than the second shape, but smaller than Balerian. Powerfully built. Wings that seem designed for both speed and strength. A war dragon. A dragon that has seen centuries of battle and service. The shape holds in the smoke for 5 heartbeats, clearly visible, and then the words come, not spoken aloud but present in your mind. Alyn Rivers, the firekeeper who tends flames but does not see what they illuminate. Your heart beats faster. Here it comes. The second vision, the second truth. Varga, you whisper. Yes, I am Varga, I who carried Visenya the Conqueror, I who lived 181 years and saw the realm rise and change and struggle. I who know that the most important stories are often the smallest stories, the lives that go unsung, the labours that go unnoticed. What do you want to show me? The present winter, Alyn Rivers, the truth that surrounds you now, tonight, in this fortress. You have remembered where you came from. Now you must see where you are. The flames flare bright, and the vision begins. You're not in the great hall anymore. You're standing in the kitchen watching old Marta work, but you're not present to her. You're like a ghost, observing but not seen, not heard. The heat shimmer form of Vagar stands beside you. Marta moves between the hearth and the preparation table with practiced efficiency. She's been cooking since dawn, 12 hours of sustained work. Her grey hair is pulled back tight. Her face is lined and weathered. Her hands are gnarled from decades of kitchen labour. She's working on multiple dishes simultaneously. A large pot of stew simmering over the fire. Loaves of bread cooling on racks. A sweet pudding of some kind in a ceramic dish. Roasted root vegetables keeping warm near the coals. Honey cakes, small ones, individual portions, arranged on a wooden tray. The amount of work this represents is staggering. One woman, 12 hours, creating a feast for 14 people from limited winter provisions. Watch, Vargar's voice says in your mind. Marta pauses in her work. Her hands rest on the table. Her head bows slightly. She's crying, not loudly, just quiet tears running down her weathered cheeks. Why, you ask Vargar. Why is she crying? Watch, listen, see what you have not seen. Marta wipes her eyes with her apron. When she speaks, it's to herself, the habit of someone who works alone so much they've started talking aloud. 16 years, she says quietly. 16 years since I made solstice meal for my children. Gods, they loved the honey cakes, especially Tam. She always wanted 2. Just one more, Mama, she'd say. Please, just one more. Marta picks up one of the honey cakes she's made. Small, individual portion. Exactly the right size for a child to hold. I made 14, Marta continues. 1 for each person in the household. But I keep thinking, Tam would have wanted 2. She laughs, but it's a sad sound. Silly old woman, making honey cakes for children who've been dead 16 years. Your chest tightens. Marta lost her children. You knew that. But you didn't know. You didn't think about what that actually meant, what it means to make solstice meals year after year, knowing your own children will never eat them. She cooks for us because she can't cook for them anymore, you say. Yes, but more than that. Watch more closely. Marta sets down the honey cake carefully, precisely positioned on the tray with the others. Then she returns to stirring the stew, checking the bread, adjusting the vegetables. I told Marcus to remind that boy Alyn about family, she says to herself. The firekeeper. Good lad, works hard, but he's so alone. Reminds me of my son Petter at that age, before the fever took him. Same age Alyn is now, 26, if I recall his intake records right. She tastes the stew, adds a pinch of salt. They're all alone here, really. 14 people playing at being a household. Torren misses his family on the mainland. Sarah the steward lost her husband to the war and came here because she couldn't bear staying in the place they'd lived together. Marcus. Well, Marcus doesn't talk about his past, but you can see the soldier's nightmares in his eyes sometimes. Marta moves to the bread, running her hands over the cooling loaves with something like tenderness. We're all broken pieces, she says softly, all washing up on this island because we didn't fit anywhere else. But broken pieces can still make something whole if they're put together careful. That's what tonight is about. Not just marking the solstice, but reminding ourselves that we have each other, that we're not as alone as we feel. She returns to the honey cakes, counting them one more time. 14 pieces, she says. 14 people. Not grand, not a feast like they'd have at Winterfell or Storm's End, but made with care. Made with... Her voice breaks slightly. Made with love. Because that's what you do. You cook with love, even when your heart is broken. You make something good, even when everything has been taken from you. You give what you can give, and you hope it's enough. The vision begins to fade. Wait, you say to Vargar. I don't understand. What am I supposed to see here? You see a woman who lost everything, who could have become bitter, closed off, withered into herself, but instead she chose to give. She makes feasts for strangers because her children are gone. She mothers the household because she has no family left to mother. She creates warmth and welcome because she knows what it is to be cold and alone. She's been giving to me for 18 months, you realise, every meal, every kind word, and I never asked about her children, never asked about her loss. I just took what she offered and never gave anything back. And what will you give back, Alan Rivers? What gift can you offer to someone who has lost so much? I don't know. Perhaps you will know by the time this night ends. But first, there are more stories you must see. More lives unfolding around you that you have not noticed. The vision shifts. You're at the gatehouse now. Torren stands at his post, but this is earlier in the evening, before you arrived with fuel for the braziers. The fires burn low. The cold is settling in. Torren is reading a letter by the light of a small lantern. You can see the letter over his shoulder. The handwriting is unpracticed, uncertain. Someone who doesn't write often. A child's writing, perhaps, or someone very old. Dear Papa, Mama says I should write to you for the solstice. She says you get lonely on Dragonstone, and letters help. I am learning my letters good now. Meister Craven says I am doing very good. It is cold here. The harvest was bad again. Mama says we have enough food for winter because you send money. She says we are very lucky to have you, even though you're far away. I miss you, Papa. I wish you could come home. But I understand about the work. I am 7 now. I am old enough to understand about duty. Your daughter, Ellen. Torren reads the letter slowly. His lips move slightly as he reads, sounding out the words. When he finishes, he folds it carefully and tucks it inside his jerkin, close to his heart where he carries the others. The others, you can see them now in the vision. 4 more letters, also carefully folded, also kept close. From his wife, from his other children, from his mother, all saying similar things. We miss you, we love you, we understand. Thank you for the money. Torren pulls out a piece of parchment. Expensive this, probably cost him a day's wages, and a small vial of ink. He begins to write, his handwriting even more uncertain than his daughter's. Dear family, I hope this letter finds you well. I am sending extra money for the solstice. Buy something special. A treat for the children. Maybe some of those honey cakes from the baker in town. I miss you all very much. I think of you every day. I wish I could be there. But the work here is important. The wages are steady. You need the money more than you need me present. I will try to visit soon, maybe in the spring if the shipping routes are clear. Your husband and father, Torren. The same words he's written in every letter for 2 years. Promises he never quite keeps. Intentions that never quite materialise into action. Because there's always a reason not to go. The harvest was poor. Send extra money instead. The ship passage is expensive. The work needs doing. Someone has to guard the gate. Always a reason, always a justification, always duty winning over desire. Torren finishes the letter and seals it with a drop of wax heated over the brazier flame. He'll send it on the next supply ship. Then he stands and walks to the brazier, holding his hands toward the warmth. 7 years old, he says to himself. She's 7. Last time I saw her, she was 5. She probably doesn't even remember my face anymore. Just knows she has a father who sends money from far away. He's crying now. quiet tears like martyrs, the tears of someone who's made choices they thought were right, but that hurt nonetheless. I'm a coward, he says to the empty gatehouse. That's the truth of it. I tell myself I'm staying for the wages, for duty, for the family's good, but really, I'm staying because it's easier, because I don't know what I'd say to them if I went home. Don't know how to bridge the gap that's grown. Don't know how to be a father again after 2 years of being absent. He wipes his eyes roughly. The work keeps me here, he says, repeating what he wrote in the letter. But maybe I keep myself here. Maybe I'm choosing the distance because it's safer than trying to close it. The vision begins to fade again. That's me, you say to Vargar. That's exactly me. Telling myself I stay on Dragonstone for the wages, for the work. But really, I stay because it's easier than going back. Easier than facing the gap that's grown. Easier than trying to reconnect with family I've been neglecting. Yes, you see yourself in Torrhen, but do you see the truth beneath that recognition? What truth? That distance is a choice. That absence is not inevitable. That gap can be bridged if you choose to bridge it. It requires courage, yes. It requires risk. But the alternative is this: endless letters full of promises never kept. Endless years of letting understanding become an excuse for inaction. You think about the wooden dragon in your pocket, about Davin, who carved it with such care, about your mother who said, "Don't forget, sending money isn't the same as being present." I've been doing exactly what Torrhen does, you say quietly. Sending money, telling myself that's enough, using duty as an excuse not to be present. And what will you do differently? I'll write a real letter, not just, "Here's money, I'm still alive." Something real, something that actually says what I feel. That is a beginning, but there is more to see, more lives unfolding around you. The vision shifts again. You're in a small chamber now, one of the administrative rooms where the household's accounts are kept. Sarah the steward sits at a desk, working by candlelight. Sarah is near 40, you know, neat and precise in her work. She maintains the duty rosters, tracks the supply shipments, ensures the fortress runs smoothly with its skeleton crew. But now, in the vision, you see what she's really doing. She's writing in a journal. Not the official household accounts, a personal journal, the pages worn from frequent handling. Her handwriting is beautiful, practiced and careful, the letters flowing with artistic grace. Day 847 on Dragonstone. The solstice approaches. Marta is preparing a gathering for the household. 14 souls will sit together and mark the longest night. It is kind of her. It is necessary, perhaps, to maintain some sense of tradition, even here, in our reduced circumstances. But I confess the solstice is difficult for me. 3 years ago, on the solstice, my husband was still alive. We marked the night together, in our small house in King's Landing. He made mulled wine, I made honey cakes. We sat by our hearth and talked about the future, about children we might have someday, about growing old together. 2 months later he was dead, caught in the wrong place during a street brawl between rival merchants' hired swords. A meaningless death, a stupid death. Gone in an instant, all those future plans turned to ash. I came to Dragonstone because I could not bear to stay in King's Landing, could not bear to live in the house we'd shared, could not bear to see the hearth where we'd sat together. So I took ship to this isolated place and buried myself in work. The work helps, keeping the accounts, maintaining the rosters, creating order from potential chaos. It helps because when I am working, I do not have time to remember, do not have time to feel the absence that follows me everywhere. But on nights like tonight, solstice nights, when everyone speaks of family and tradition, the absence becomes overwhelming. I am surrounded by 14 people, and I have never been more alone. Sarah sets down her quill. She opens a small wooden box on her desk. Inside is a ring, a simple band of silver, obviously a wedding ring. She takes it out, holds it in her palm. 3 years, she says to the empty room. 3 years and it still hurts as much as the first day. Everyone says time heals, but time doesn't heal. Time just makes you better at hiding the wound. She slips the ring onto her finger, her left hand, fourth finger. She never wears it during the day, only in private moments like this. I wonder what you would think of me now, she says, apparently speaking to her dead husband, working on this isolated island, keeping accounts for a household that's a shadow of what it should be. Is this what you would have wanted for me? To hide here? To bury myself in work? She's crying now, but silently, the tears just falling without accompanying sobs. I'm afraid, she admits, that's the truth I won't tell anyone. I'm afraid that if I leave here, if I return to the world, the grief will consume me. Here I can control it, keep it contained, but out there, she shakes her head. Out there I might fall apart completely. She removes the ring, places it carefully back in the box, closes the lid. So I stay, she says. I stay, and I work, and I pretend this is a life. And maybe someday I'll believe it. The vision begins to fade. She's drowning, you say to Vagar. She's drowning in grief, and work is the only thing keeping her afloat. Yes. And do you see yourself in her as well? Yes. I've been using work the same way, burying myself in firekeeping, so I don't have to face what I'm running from. My guilt about my family, my fear that too much time has passed, my uncertainty about how to reconnect. And what will you do for Sarah? What gift can you offer someone who is drowning? I don't know. What could I possibly give her? I'm just the firekeeper. We barely speak beyond professional courtesies. Perhaps that is exactly what she needs. Not grand gestures, not dramatic intervention, just acknowledgement, recognition, someone noticing that she exists beyond her role, someone seeing the person behind the steward. You think about that, about how invisible you've been making yourself for 18 months, and how in doing so, you've failed to see that others were also making themselves invisible. 14 people, all hiding in their own ways, all pretending to be just their roles, firekeeper, guard, steward, cook, while the actual humans behind those roles suffer in isolation. There are more stories, Vagar says, more lives you have not seen. But time grows short. The midnight gathering approaches. You must return to finish preparing the Great Hall. But remember what you have seen. Remember that the 14 people in this fortress are not just workers performing duties. They are broken pieces, as Marta said, trying to make something whole. What can I do, you ask? I'm one person. I can't fix everyone's pain. You cannot fix pain, but you can offer presence. You can offer attention. You can offer the small gifts that remind people they are not alone. These seem like small things, Alan Rivers, but in the long winter, small warmth matters more than grand fires. The vision fades completely. You're back in the Great Hall, standing before the hearth where a massive fire now burns at full strength. The flames dance high. The heat radiates powerfully. The applewood fills the hall with its subtle sweet scent. Time has passed while you were in vision. The fire is fully established now, burning at perhaps 80% capacity, exactly as it should be for the gathering. You check your mental accounting. You entered the hall perhaps 30 minutes ago. The fire building took how long? The vision seemed to last forever, but checking the fire's progress, you estimate perhaps 15 minutes have passed total. The work has been done. The fire burns strong. The hall will be warm for the gathering. But you're not the same person who entered this hall 30 minutes ago. You've seen Marta's hidden grief, Torrhen's unspoken guilt, Sarah's suffocating sorrow. You've seen the truth of the present winter, not just the cold outside, but the cold inside people's hearts, the isolation, the pain. And you've seen yourself in all of them, running, hiding, using work and duty and distance to avoid facing what needs facing. The wooden dragon carving in your pocket seems to pulse with significance. You need to write a letter, a real one, tonight before your courage fails. But first you need to mark your tally stick. You need to begin the fuel-adding rounds. You need to attend the midnight gathering. The work continues, but now the work has different meaning. Now you understand that firekeeping isn't just about maintaining hearths, it's about maintaining the small warmth that makes life bearable, the connection, the acknowledgement, the simple recognition that we are all struggling through the same long winter together. You make your mark on the tally stick. Great hall, built up for midnight gathering. Foundation, 7 oak pieces. Hot layer, 4 ash pieces. Apple wood layer, 4 pieces. Burning strong, should last 3 hours. Your hands are steady as you carve the notch. 2 visions shown, 1 more to come. Meraxes will show you the future winters, the consequences of action and inaction, the paths that lie ahead. But for now, there is work. There are fires to tend. There are people to see, really see, for perhaps the first time. The midnight gathering approaches. 14 souls will come together in this warm hall. And maybe, if you're brave enough, you'll offer something more than just your presence. Maybe you'll offer recognition, attention, the small gifts that matter. The work continues, the night deepens, and the firekeeper stands before a blazing hearth, finally beginning to understand what he's really been tending all along. The first fuel-adding circuit begins perhaps 20 minutes after you finish with the Great Hall fire. Meanwhile, somewhere in the great castles of Westeros, from River Run to the Arbor, servants are lighting candles for the midnight solstice observations. Here on Dragonstone, your work is simpler but no less purposeful, ensuring the fires lit hours ago continue burning through the longest night. But you're walking these familiar corridors with different eyes now, with awareness of what you've been failing to see. Your carry sack contains adequate fuel for this circuit, 8 oak pieces, 4 ash pieces remaining after the Great Hall work. You'll need to reload before the next major circuit, but this is enough for now. The gatehouse is first, as always. You arrive to find Torren still at his post, the braziers burned down to perhaps 30% capacity after the 3 hours since you last tended them. But now, when you look at Torren, you don't just see the guard on duty, you see a man who hasn't seen his 7-year-old daughter in 2 years, a man who writes letters full of promises he doesn't keep, a man who's trapped himself in distance because closing the gap seems too hard. Evening again, Alan, Torren greets you. Evening, Torren. You approach the first brazier with your poker. How have the fires been holding? Well enough. Wind's picked up some, but they've kept me tolerable. You stir the coal bed, exposing the still hot orange core. You add 3 oak pieces to the first brazier, arranged for good air circulation. And as you work, you find yourself saying, I received a letter from my family. A while back. A few months ago, maybe. Torren looks over, surprised at this conversational opening. You don't usually share personal details. That's so, he says. My younger brother, he'd learned his letters, wanted to practice by writing to me. This is a lie, but it's the kind of small lie that creates connection. Made me think about how long it's been since I've seen them. 4 years now. 4 years is a long time, Torren says quietly. It is. You move to the second brazier, begin the same process. I've been telling myself the work keeps me here, the wages, the responsibility. But I wonder. You pause, choosing words carefully. I wonder if I've been using that as an excuse, making duty into a reason not to face what I'm avoiding. Torren is quiet for a long moment. When he speaks, his voice is rough. I've been thinking the same thing lately. About myself, I mean. Your family's in the Stormlands? Aye. Wife, 3 children, my mother. I send money regular, but I haven't visited in 2 years. Why not? Torren shakes his head. Seemed like there was always a good reason. Harvest was poor, needed to send extra coin. Ship. Passage is expensive. Work needed doing here. But tonight, reading my daughter's solstice letter. His voice trails off. Maybe the reasons are real, you say, but maybe they're also excuses. Aye, maybe so. You finish with the second brazier. Both burn at perhaps 65% capacity now, rebuilt and strong. I'm thinking I should write a proper letter. Not just, I'm alive, here's money. Something real. Torin nods slowly. That would be good. Letters matter. Even if you can't be present, letting them know they're thought about, that matters. Will you write a proper letter too? He looks at you, something shifting in his expression. Recognition, maybe. The understanding that you see him, that you're not just the firekeeper performing a duty, but another person struggling with the same things. Aye, he says finally. I will. Tonight, after my watch, I'll write something real. Good. You shoulder your carry sack. The mulled wine offer still standing? Always. Stop by after the gathering if you want. I will. You leave the gatehouse and something has changed. A small connection made. Not friendship exactly. Not yet. But recognition. Acknowledgement. Two people admitting they struggle with the same things. Small warmth, but warmth nonetheless. The stone drum awaits. You begin climbing the familiar stairs, counting automatically. 1, 2, 3. But now as you climb, you find yourself thinking about the other 12 people in the household. Whose stories you don't know, whose struggles remain invisible to you. Marcus, who gave you gloves. What's his story? Why did he leave soldiers' work for firekeeping? What keeps him on this isolated island? The guards in the common room? What are their names? Where do they come from? What brought them to Dragonstone? Willem the blacksmith. Alice, who tends the rookery. The others whose faces you recognise, but whose lives remain mysteries. 14 people, 14 stories. And you've been living among them for 18 months, without really seeing any of them. You reach level 2. The guard captain's chamber hearth shows approximately 45% capacity. The 3 oak pieces you lit hours ago have burned down, but the coal bed remains strong. You add 2 oak pieces. The coal bed is hot enough that they catch quickly, smoking within 20 heartbeats, flames within 40 heartbeats, full engagement within 2 minutes. The fire rebuilds to 60% capacity. Time, 4 minutes. Mark on tally stick. Stone drum level 2. Fuel added. 2 oak pieces, 60% capacity. Level 3. 28 more steps. The servants' quarters hearth also at 45% capacity. 2 oak pieces added. 4 minutes. Rebuild to 60% level 4. The guards' common room. When you enter, 3 guards are present, taking their evening break. You recognise their faces, but you don't know their names. 18 months working in this fortress, passing these men in corridors, nodding greetings, and you don't know their names. Evening, one of them says as you approach the hearth. Evening, you reply, and then taking a small risk. I'm Alan, the night firekeeper. I realise we've never been properly introduced. The 3 guards exchange glances. This is unexpected, apparently. The firekeeper initiating conversation. I'm Royce, says the one who spoke first. He's perhaps 35, with a scar across his chin. Bors, says the second, younger, maybe 25. Kaivan, says the third, oldest of the 3, greying hair, maybe 50. Pleased to meet you properly, you say. After all this time working alongside each other, seems foolish not to know names. Royce grins. Was thinking the same, truth be told. We see you come through every night like clockwork. Good work, by the way. The fires always burn steady when you're on watch. Thank you. You begin working on the hearth, which has burned down to maybe 50% capacity. You 3 been on Dragonstone long? 2 years for me, Royce says. Came from the Reach, former soldier looking for quieter work. 1.5 years, Bors adds. From King's Landing. The city wasn't working for me anymore. Kievan is quiet for a moment. Then, 5 years, formerly in service to House Grafton in Gulltown. My wife died, and I needed a change. Somewhere different. Another grief, another loss, another person carrying private pain while performing public duty. You add 3 oak pieces to the hearth. I'm sorry about your wife, Kaivan nods. It was 5 years ago. The wound's less raw now, but thank you for saying it. The fire rebuilds to 70% capacity. The room is actively occupied, so you add 1 ash piece for extra heat. Time, 5 minutes. Mark on tally stick. Stone drum level 4, guards common room. Fuel added, 3 oak plus 1 ash. 70% capacity. As you prepare to leave, Royce says, You attending the midnight gathering? I am. Good, we'll see you there then. Alan. Using your name, recognizing you as a person, not just the firekeeper who comes through at night. It's a small thing, but small things matter. You continue through level 4 to the servants' hall. Add 2 oak pieces, rebuild to 65%, 4 minutes. Level 5, the library. The hearth here burns at 50% capacity. Your careful fire building earlier means it's held temperature better. You add 1 oak piece only, maintaining the careful approach for book preservation. Rebuild to 60%, 4 minutes. You skip levels 6 and 7 for now. Those minimal fires don't need attention yet. Your carry sack is nearly empty. 2 oak pieces, 3 ash pieces remaining. You descend back to ground level, 140 steps down, 28 per level, 5 levels. The descent is automatic, your legs knowing the rhythm. You need to reload before tackling the sea tower circuit. But as you descend, you're thinking about what Vargar said. You cannot fix pain, but you can offer presence. You can offer attention. You can offer small gifts that remind people they are not alone. You learned 3 names. Tonight. Royce, Bors, Kaivan, 3 people you've been walking past for 18 months without really seeing. It's a start. Small but real. The work continues. But now the work includes seeing, acknowledging, recognizing that the 14 people in this fortress are more than just roles and duties. The wood cellars await another loading. The sea tower hearths need tending. The midnight gathering approaches. And somewhere ahead in the remaining hours of night, the third vision waits. Meraxes will show you the winters yet to come. The consequences, the paths. But for now, there are fires to tend and people to see, really see, for the first time. 1 fuel load at a time, 1 small connection at a time. The work continues. The wood cellars receive you for the 4th loading of the night. Meanwhile, somewhere in the deep vaults beneath the Red Keep in King's Landing, where Targaryen wealth once lay stored in unimaginable abundance, perhaps a few guards stand watch over mostly empty rooms. Here on Dragonstone, your cellar is simpler. Just wood and coal, the basic fuel that keeps people alive through winter. 4th loading, approximately 6 hours into your watch. Oak pieces, shorter cut. 18 pieces, ash pieces, shorter cut. 6 pieces, total weight, approximately 25 pounds. Loading time, 7 minutes. You climb back up the 16 steps, your legs definitely registering the accumulated climbing now. You've ascended and descended these particular cellar stairs 7 or 8 times tonight, plus all the stone drum and sea tower stairs. The cumulative effect is noticeable, but manageable. The sea tower awaits. You walk the east corridor, passing the carved Valyrian glyphs you still can't read, the volcanic stone that forms the fortress's bones. The heavy door opens to bitter cold. The temperature in the sea tower has dropped further. The wind has picked up, and the relentless cold is fighting against the fires you lit hours ago. The lower chamber hearth shows approximately 40% capacity when you check it. The 4 oak pieces you lit earlier have burned down substantially, but the coal bed remains active. You add 3 oak pieces. The cold temperature means slower catching, but the hot coal bed helps. Smoking within 35 heartbeats, flames within 65, full engagement within 2.5 minutes, rebuild to 65% capacity. Time, 5 minutes. Mark on tally stick, sea tower lower chamber, fuel added, 3 oak pieces, 65% capacity. The chamber is noticeably warmer than when you first lit the fire hours ago, perhaps 15 or 20 degrees warmer. The sustained burning has achieved its purpose. Stone walls that were ice cold are now merely cool, radiating stored heat back into the space. This is what firekeeping does. Not instant transformation, but gradual persistent warming. Small consistent effort accumulating into larger effect. Like human connection perhaps. Small consistent acknowledgements accumulating into your relationship. You climb the 32 steps to the middle chamber, counting rhythm maintained. This chamber's hearth shows approximately 35% capacity, lower than the lower chamber because of the problematic draw you noted earlier. The loose damper means this hearth burns through fuel faster. You add 4 oak pieces instead of 3, compensating for the faster consumption. The damper is still loose. You can see it moving slightly in its housing when wind gusts hit the tower. But it's functioning adequately enough. Marcus can address the mechanical issue during daylight hours. Rebuild to 60% capacity. Time, 6 minutes. Mark on tally stick. Sea tower middle chamber. Fuel added, 4 oak pieces, 60% capacity. Damper still loose but functional. The upper chamber. 32 more steps. Your legs are definitely tired now. You've climbed perhaps 500 steps total tonight. Roughly 125 meters of vertical travel, counting both ascents and descents. Not exhausting for a young, healthy person, but definitely fatiguing after sustained work. The upper chamber is coldest, as always. But when you enter, something catches your eye. There's something carved into the stone wall near the hearth, something you've never noticed in all your previous visits. The carving is weathered, barely visible in the dim light, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. A name, Visenya, and beneath it, in smaller letters, "She who flew with me," and a date, 10 AC. You stop, staring at the carving. This chamber, this specific chamber, was important to someone once, important enough to carve a memorial in the stone. Visenya Targaryen, Vargar's rider, the conqueror's sister wife, the warrior queen who conquered Westeros alongside Aegon. This was her tower, perhaps, her private chambers, the place she came to look out over the narrow sea and remember the Valyrian freehold across the water, the place where she felt closest to her dragon. And someone, a servant perhaps, or another rider, carved this memorial after she died, marking the space where she'd spent time, honouring the connection between rider and dragon. You run your fingers over the carved letters, worn nearly smooth by centuries, but still there, still remembering. Small warmth, you whisper to the empty chamber. Small connection, but remembered across centuries. You're not sure why this moves you so much, but it does. The idea that someone 400 years ago cared enough to carve a name in stone, to mark a presence, to say, this person mattered, and the connection they had mattered, and we will not let it be forgotten. The hearth requires attention. You pull yourself back to the work. The fire shows 45% capacity. The strong draw here means the fire burns hot and clean, consuming fuel efficiently. You add 3 oak pieces. They catch quickly in the strong updraft. Rebuild to 70% capacity. Time, 5 minutes. Mark on tally stick. Sea tower upper chamber. Fuel added, 3 oak pieces, 70% capacity. Found. Inscription, Visenya, she who flew with me, 10 AC. You've completed the sea tower fuel circuit. Total fuel consumed, 10 oak pieces. You descend the 64 steps back to the tower's base. Your legs protest, but don't fail. The descent is easier than climbing, using different muscles. You exit the tower and check your mental accounting. Time, perhaps 6.5 hours into your watch now. Halfway through the 12-hour shift, with margin. The midnight gathering is approaching, perhaps 30 minutes away. You have time for one more check of the Great Hall fire, ensuring it burns strong for when people begin arriving. Your carry sack contains 8 oak pieces, 5 ash pieces remaining. As you walk back toward the Great Hall, you're thinking about Visenya's inscription, about how someone cared enough to mark that she mattered, that her connection to Vargar mattered, that their shared presence in this place deserved remembering. 400 years later, a firekeeper who never knew her name stumbles across it and feels something. Connection across time. Recognition that all human lives, whether queens or servants, share the same basic need: to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be remembered. The Great Hall doors stand open. You enter to find the fire burning at approximately 70% capacity. exactly as it should be. The applewood scent fills the space, subtle and welcoming. The temperature has risen to perhaps 60 degrees, comfortable for gathering, achieved through the sustained burning of the large fire you built. Old Marta is setting up for the gathering. 2 tables positioned near the hearth, simple cups and bowls arranged, the food laid out on serving platters, stew in a large pot keeping warm near the coals, bread on wooden boards, roasted vegetables in ceramic dishes, the 14 honey cakes arranged on a tray, small cups for mulled wine. The amount of work this represents, the planning, the cooking, the care, is staggering when you really think about it. Marta, you say. She looks up surprised. You don't usually address her directly. The food looks wonderful. Thank you for doing this. For all of us. Her weathered face softens. It's just a simple meal, lad. It's more than that. You struggle to find words. It's care made visible. It's choosing to create something good even when the situation is hard. That matters. You matter. Marta's eyes glisten slightly. That's kind of you to say. It's true. You hesitate, then add, I wanted you to know. I've been thinking about family tonight, about my family that I haven't contacted in 4 years, and about how sometimes the people you work alongside become family too, if you let them. They do, Marta says quietly. They really do. I'm going to write a letter tonight, to my brother, after my watch ends. A real letter, not just sending money. I wanted you to know that, because what you said about family being the people you work alongside, that helped me understand something I needed to understand. Marta crosses to you and takes your hand. Her skin is work-worn, scarred from years of kitchen labour, but her grip is warm. I'm glad, she says simply. That's the best solstice gift I could receive, knowing I helped someone find their way back to family. She releases your hand and returns to arranging the food. But something has shifted, a connection made, recognition given and received. You check the Great Hall fire one more time. Add 2 oak pieces to ensure it stays strong through the gathering. The fire accepts the new fuel easily, rebuilding to 75% capacity. Time, 4 minutes. Mark on tally stick. Great Hall, fuel added for gathering, 2 oak pieces, 75% capacity. People are beginning to arrive now. Torrin relieved briefly from gate watch by another guard. The 3 guards from the common room, Royce, Bors, Kyvan, Sarah the steward, Marcus, who stayed up past his usual rest time to attend, Willem the blacksmith, Alice from the rookery, others whose names you're still learning. 14 people, 14 souls who work in this reduced fortress, maintaining what needs maintaining, keeping the ancient seat of House Targaryen from falling into complete ruin. Everyone finds places at the tables. Marta begins serving food. The conversation starts quietly, tentative, as people who don't often gather socially find their rhythms. Sarah stands to speak, her voice clear and steady. To the longest night. May we see the dawn together and continue maintaining this fortress through another winter. And may we remember that we're not just workers performing duties, we're people choosing to be here, choosing to maintain something old and important, choosing to be present for each other in this isolated place. To the longest night, everyone responds, raising their cups. The meal begins. The food is excellent, Marta's 12 hours of work evident in every dish. The stew is rich and warming. The bread has good texture. The vegetables are perfectly roasted. The mulled wine is spiced just right. The conversation gradually loosens. People who normally only exchange professional courtesies begin talking about other things. Royce tells a story about his time in the Reach. Kyvan shares a memory of his late wife. Difficult, clearly, but also necessary. Sarah laughs at something Willem says, and it's the first time you've heard her laugh. You find yourself sitting between Torrin and Marcus. 3 firekeepers, 2 active, 1 retired from that specific role, sharing a meal. The new gloves are good, and you tell Marcus. Thank you again. Good to hear. Can't have you burning your hands on my account. Why did you give them to me? The question comes out more direct than you intended. Marcus considers for a moment. Because I noticed you needed them. And because small kindnesses matter in winter. That's all. That's not all, you say. That's everything, actually. Marcus looks at you, something shifting in his expression. You're thinking more tonight than usual. It's the solstice, strange night. Makes you think about things. What things? Connection, presence, how we've been working alongside each other for 18 months. But I don't really know you. Don't know your story. Why you left soldier's work. What keeps you here? Marcus is quiet for a long moment. Then, that's a longer conversation than a solstice meal allows. But maybe we could have that conversation. Sometime, if you want. I'd like that. The meal continues. Marta brings out the honey cakes, one for each person. 14 small sweet cakes, made with care, served with love. When everyone has finished eating, Sarah stands again. Before we return to our duties, I want to say something. We're 14 people. We come from different places, different backgrounds. We're here for different reasons. But tonight, this night, we're together. We're present for each other. And that matters. That means something. There's a moment of quiet agreement. 14 people, acknowledging the simple truth. Isolation is easier when you're not alone. The gathering begins to break up gradually. People help Marta clear dishes. Small conversations continue. Plans are made to do this again. Not just waiting for next year's solstice, but perhaps monthly. Small regular gatherings to maintain the connection. You help carry dishes to the kitchen, working alongside others. The labour shared, and thus lighter. By the time everything is cleared and people begin returning to their various duties, perhaps an hour has passed since the gathering began. Torrhen stops you before heading back to the gatehouse. Thank you for what you said earlier. I wrote that letter, a real one. I'll send it with the next supply ship. I'm going to write mine tonight too, after my watch. Good. Torrhen extends his hand. You clasp it. Maybe we're both done running. Maybe. You return to the Great Hall to check the fire one last time before continuing your rounds. The hearth burns at approximately 70% capacity. It will need fuel again in perhaps 2 hours, which you'll attend to during your next circuit. Mark on tally stick. Midnight gathering completed. 14 people present. Great Hall fire maintained at 70% capacity. The time is perhaps 1 hour past midnight. 11 hours into your watch. 5 more hours until dawn and shift end. But something has changed. The weight you've been carrying, the guilt about your family, the isolation, the sense of just going through motions has lifted somewhat. Not completely, but enough that you can breathe easier. You've seen the past through Balerian's vision, remembered where you came from, understood what you've been neglecting. You've seen the present through Vargar's vision, recognized the hidden struggles of the people around you, understood that everyone is carrying private pain while performing public duty. One vision remains. Meraxes will show you the winters yet to come, the consequences of choices, the paths that lie ahead. But for now, there's work. The deep night hours await. The coldest period, from 1 hour past midnight until perhaps 3 or 4 in the morning. The fires will need more frequent attention during this time. You shoulder your carry sack, still containing 6 oak pieces, 5 ash pieces, and prepare to continue the rounds. Meanwhile, throughout the fortress, the fires burn. The people return to their duties, and the firekeeper proceeds through the night, no longer invisible to others or blind to their presence. Small warmth, small connections, but in the long winter, that's everything. The work continues, one hearth at a time, one small gift at a time. The coldest hours of the longest night settle over Dragonstone like a shroud. Meanwhile, somewhere beyond the wall, 3,000 leagues to the north, where the Night's Watch maintains eternal vigil, the deep cold means something far more dangerous than mere discomfort. Here on your island fortress, cold is simply an opponent to be defeated through sustained firekeeping. The time approaches, perhaps 2 hours past midnight now. 8 hours into your 12-hour watch. The temperature outside has dropped to its lowest point, well below freezing, perhaps 10 or 15 degrees. The wind has died down somewhat, but the still cold is almost worse, seeping through every crack and gap in the ancient stone. Your fuel-adding circuit proceeds systematically. Gatehouse braziers, Euro 115, current capacity 30%, add 4 oak pieces to each, rebuild to 70% capacity, time 8 minutes. Torren is quiet tonight, but when you leave he says, "Thank you, for earlier, for seeing me." "I should have seen you 18 months ago," you reply. "Better late than never." Stone drum circuit, Yo 130, O215. Level 2. Add 2 oak pieces, rebuild to 65%, 4 minutes. Level 3. Add 2 oak pieces, rebuild to 60%, 4 minutes. Level 4 guards room. Add 3 oak pieces, rebuild to 70%, 5 minutes. Royce and Boars are here. Wave greeting, use your name. Level 4 servants hall. Add 2 oak pieces, rebuild to 65%, 4 minutes. Level 5 library. Add 1 oak piece, rebuild to 60%, 4 minutes. Level 6 Meister's chamber. Check only, still burning at 40%, adequate for empty space. Level 7 small chamber. Finally visit this chamber for first time tonight. Add 2 oak pieces, rebuild to 55%, 9 minutes. Total stone drum time, 45 minutes including climbing. You need to reload before the sea tower circuit. Descend to wood cellars. 5th loading of the night. Oak pieces, 20 pieces, ash pieces, 6 pieces, total weight, approximately 28 pounds. Loading time, 7 minutes. Sea tower circuit, Yo 235, 0305. Lower chamber, add 3 oak pieces, rebuild to 65%, 5 minutes. Middle chamber, add 4 oak pieces, faster consumption due to loose damper, rebuild to 60%, 6 minutes. Upper chamber, add 3 oak pieces, rebuild to 70%, 5 minutes. When you reach the upper chamber this time, the chamber with Visenya's inscription, something is different. The hearth is burning at 50% capacity, as expected. You approach with your fuel load, ready to add 3 oak pieces as planned, but when you place the first piece of oak into the fire, the flames flare suddenly. Bright, almost blinding, and in the flames you see a shape. Different from Balerian's massive darkness, different from Vargar's powerful presence, this dragon is smaller, at least smaller than those two, but still vast, elegant, beautiful in a way the others were not. Wings that seemed to catch light like jewels, Merax's, she who carried Queen Rhaenys, she who fell at Hellholt, struck through the eye by a scorpion bolt, taking the warrior queen with her, in death. The shape holds in the flames for 5 heartbeats. Then the words come, softer than Balerian's rumble, gentler than Vargar's stern presence. Alyn Rivers, fire keeper, who is learning to see. You have remembered the past, you have witnessed the present. Now you must face the future. The third vision, you whisper. Yes, the winter's yet to come, the consequences of your choices, the paths that diverge before you. Will you show me what happens if I change? If I reconnect with my family? If I stop running? I will show you 2 futures, Alyn Rivers. What may come if you continue as you have been, and what may come if you choose differently. But understand, these are possibilities, not certainties. The future is never fixed. It flows like water, taking the shape of the choices we make. I understand. Do you? Do you truly understand that your choices ripple outward? That small actions accumulate into large consequences? That the fire you tend or fail to tend today determines whether someone is warm tomorrow? I'm beginning to understand. Then watch and see. The flames flare again, and the vision begins. You're standing in the Riverlands, outside the cottage where you grew up. But this is not the past. This is the future. 10 years from now, if you continue as you have been. The cottage looks different. Older, more worn. The thatch roof sags badly in one corner. It needs repair, but apparently no one has the means or energy to address it. You can see through the single window. Inside, a woman sits by a small hearth, your mother. But she's aged terribly. Not 10 years worth of aging, but 20. Her hair is completely grey. Her face is deeply lined. She moves slowly, painfully, like someone much older than she should be. Davin is there too. He's 26 now in this vision, the age you are currently, but he looks exhausted, worn down. He's wearing work clothes, covered in mud, coming in from the fields. "Mother," he says, "I've brought bread and a bit of cheese. That's all I could spare from the market wages." "Thank you, Dav." Your mother's voice is weak, tired. "Have you heard from Alan?" Davin's expression hardens. "No, mother, no word. He sent money 6 months ago, nothing since. Perhaps he's busy with his work. Perhaps he's forgotten us." Davin's voice carries bitterness. 14 years now, mother. 14 years of empty promises. I'll visit soon. I'll write more. But he never does. The money comes, when it comes, but that's all. Just money. No words, no presents, no... His voice breaks slightly. No caring. Your mother is crying quietly. "He's your brother, Dav. He's still family." "Is he? How is he family when he's just a name on old letters and coins in a purse? Tommen doesn't even remember him. He was 8 when Alan left. He's 22 now. Alan is just a story to him. You have an older brother somewhere. He sends money sometimes. Don't speak ill of your brother." "I'm not speaking ill, mother. I'm speaking truth. He left. He stayed away. And every year it gets easier for him to stay away. Every year the gap grows wider. And one day..." Davin stops, seeming to struggle with emotion. "One day you'll die, mother. And he won't even know. Because he'll be on his distant island, tending his fires. And we'll have no way to reach him in time. And he'll come home, maybe, for the burial. And he'll say, 'I'm sorry I meant to visit sooner.' And it will be too late, just like everything else has been too late." Your mother doesn't respond, just cries quietly. The vision shifts. Same cottage, but later. Perhaps 5 more years later. The cottage is even more deteriorated now. The roof has partially collapsed in one section. No one lives there anymore. You can tell by the emptiness, the dust, the sense of abandonment. A marker stands outside, a simple wooden grave marker. The words carved into it are worn but legible. "Beloved mother, taken by winter fever, gone to rest." And beside it, the carved dragon, the one Davin made for you 16 years ago, placed on the grave as a marker, or perhaps as an accusation. The vision shifts again. You see yourself, future you, perhaps 40 years old, receiving a letter at Dragonstone. You're still the firekeeper, still performing the same duties, still isolated. The letter is from Davin. You open it. Your future self's hands are shaking. "Brother, Mother died 3 months ago. I'm writing to inform you, though I debated whether there was any point. The winter fever took her quickly. She asked for you at the end, kept saying your name. Alan will come. He promised to visit. Alan will come. But you didn't come. You weren't there. You haven't been there for 16 years. I'm writing this letter because Mother would have wanted me to, but I want you to know, you're not welcome at the grave. You're not welcome in this family. You chose distance. You chose absence. You chose your work and your isolation over your family. The money you sent, it was never enough, because money doesn't hold a dying mother's hand. Money doesn't comfort her when she's frightened. Money doesn't tell her that her son loves her and thinks of her and values her. You had a family, Alan. You could have been part of something, but you chose to be alone. And now you are alone, truly alone. And that's what you deserve. Don't write back. Don't send money. Don't pretend you care now when you didn't care for 16 years. We are done. Davin. Future. You sits in the maintenance room, holding the letter, crying. Alone. Completely alone. No family. No real connections. Just the work. Just the fires. Just the endless repetition of duties performed for a fortress that will outlast you by centuries. This is the path of continued isolation. This is what happens when you keep running, keep avoiding, keep choosing distance over presence. The vision begins to fade. No, you say to Meraxes, please, show me the other path. Show me what happens if I choose differently. Are you certain you want to see? Sometimes hope is harder to bear than despair. I need to see. Very well. The flames shift and a different future unfolds. The cottage again. But this vision is different from the first. 5 years from now, if you make different choices, the cottage looks better maintained. The roof has been repaired. The window shows glass, a luxury, but affordable if someone cared enough to invest in it. Smoke rises from the chimney, a good fire burning inside. Through the window, you can see your mother. She's aged 5 years, yes, but healthily. She's smiling, talking to someone. Davin enters frame. He's 21 in this vision. He looks happy, content. He's laughing at something your mother said. And then you see someone else in the cottage. Yourself. Future you, 31 years old, sitting at the table with your family. You're visiting. You came home. The vision shifts. You hear the conversation. Tell us about Dragonstone, your mother is saying. You described it in your letters, but it's different hearing you speak of it. It's isolated, future you says. Volcanic stone, carved by Valyrian magic 400 years ago. Just 14 of us maintaining what was once a fortress for hundreds. But it's beautiful in its own way. The dragons carved into every surface, the view of the narrow sea, the history. Do you like the work? Davin asks. I do, actually. Firekeeping is meditative in a way. Repetitive, but satisfying. Knowing you're keeping people warm through winter. Future you pauses. But I've learned something important. The work is meaningful, but it's not everything. Connection matters more. Family matters more. I was letting the work become an excuse to avoid what scared me. What scared you? Your mother asks gently. Reconnecting. Bridging the gap I'd let grow. Admitting I'd been wrong to stay away so long. Future. You looks at Davin. I kept your carving, Dav. The dragon you made for me. Carried it in my pocket for years. Even when I wasn't looking at it, even when I was trying not to think about home, I carried it with me. Because some part of me always knew I needed to come back. Davin's eyes are bright. I'm glad you did come back. I'm glad. You remembered. The vision shifts. Same cottage, but now it's winter. The hearth burns strong. Someone tends it with care, knowing how to build a proper fire. You taught them, perhaps, shared your knowledge. Your mother is older in this scene, perhaps 8 or 9 years from now. She's clearly near the end of her life, age and illness taking their inevitable toll. But she's not alone. She's surrounded by family. Davin sits beside her, holding her hand. Tommen is there. Your younger brother, now grown into a young man, someone you've actually met and know in this vision. And you're there. You came. You're present. Alan, your mother whispers. Her voice is weak but content. You came. Of course I came, Mother. I'll always come when you need me. I'm proud of you, proud of the man you've become, proud that you found your way back to us. She reaches up with a trembling hand and touches your face. You were lost, but you found yourself again. That's all any mother can hope for her children, that they find themselves and find their way home. She dies peacefully, surrounded by love, her sons present and caring for her until the end. The vision shifts one more time. The grave marker is there, but different from the first vision. Still simple, still wooden, but maintained with care. Fresh flowers have been placed recently. The dragon carving sits beside it, but not as an accusation, as a memorial, a symbol of connection maintained. Future, you visits the grave regularly, once or twice a year, taking ship from Dragonstone to the mainland, making the journey to the Riverlands. Because connection requires effort, presence requires choice, but the effort is worth it. The choice is right. And you're not alone. Davin is with you at the grave. Tommen. Other family members, perhaps Davin has married in this vision, has children of his own, your nieces and nephews who know their Uncle Alan, who've heard stories about the firekeeper on Dragonstone, who understand that family means staying connected even across distance. This is the warm path. This is what happens when you choose presence over absence, when you write real letters, when you visit, when you bridge the gap instead of letting it grow. The vision begins to fade. You see now? Meraxes asks. You see the diverging paths? I see them. The cold path leads to isolation, to loss, to dying alone with nothing but regrets. The warm path is harder. It requires courage, effort, vulnerability. It requires facing what you've been avoiding, but it leads to connection, to presence, to a life that means something beyond just work performed. I want the warm path. Then choose it. Not just once, but over and over. Every time you're tempted to retreat into isolation, choose connection. Every time you're tempted to let the gap grow, choose to bridge it. Every time you're tempted to hide behind work and duty, choose to be present. I will, I promise. Promises are easy, Alan Rivers. Action is hard, but I believe you will try. I believe tonight has changed you in ways that will persist beyond this vision. What about the others, you ask? Torren, Sarah, Marta, all the people struggling in this fortress? I saw their pain in Vargar's vision. Can they choose warm paths too? That is not for you to decide. You cannot fix other people's pain. You cannot force them to make different choices. But you can offer presence. You can offer acknowledgement. You can offer the small warmth that reminds them they're not alone. And perhaps, that warmth will help them find their own way toward connection. The heat shimmer form of Meraxes begins to fade. Thank you, you say, for showing me, for caring enough to show me. We three dragons loved the Conqueror and his sisters. We carried them. We shared their lives. We understood what it meant to be bonded, truly bonded, to another being. That bond was everything, and when we lost it, when our riders died, we grieved in ways humans perhaps cannot fully comprehend. But the bond was worth it. The connection was worth the grief. The love was worth the loss. Always remember that, Alan Rivers. Connection is worth the risk. Love is worth the vulnerability. Presence is worth the effort. I'll remember. Then go. Tend your fires. Finish your watch. And when dawn comes, write that letter. Choose the warm path. Begin bridging the gap. The vision ends. You're back in the upper chamber of the sea tower, standing before a hearth where you've placed one piece of oak and need to place two more. Time has passed during the vision. How long? You check the fire's progress. Perhaps 10 or 15 minutes. Not long, but long enough to see two possible futures and understand what's at stake. Your hands are shaking slightly as you add the remaining two oak pieces. The fire accepts them, burns strong, rebuilds to 70% capacity. Time, 5 minutes total, including the vision. Mark on tally stick. Sea tower upper chamber. Fuel added, 3 oak pieces, 70% capacity. Third vision complete. Choice made. You've seen all 3 visions now, the 3 truths shown through flame by the 3 dragon spirits. Balerion showed you the past. Remember where you came from. Understand what you've been neglecting. Vhagar showed you the present. See the hidden struggles around you. Recognize that everyone carries private pain while performing public duty. Meraxes showed you the future. Understand the consequences of your choices. See that isolation leads to cold death while connection leads to warm life. 3 visions, 3 truths, 3 dragons speaking through flame on the longest night. You descend the 64 steps back to the tower's base, your mind full of what you've seen. The cottage, your mother, Davin. The 2 futures, cold and warm. You exit the sea tower and pause in the corridor, just breathing, letting the weight of the visions settle. The night continues, work remains, but everything has changed. You know what you need to do. You know the path you need to choose, and you understand, truly understand, that the small warmth of connection matters more than all the grand fires you could ever tend. 4 hours remain until dawn and shift end. 4 hours of continued firekeeping, and then you'll write that letter. You'll begin bridging the gap. You'll choose the warm path. The work continues, but now the work serves a purpose beyond just maintaining fires. Now the work is preparation, keeping others warm while you prepare to create your own warmth, tending the fortress fires while you plan to tend the fire of family connection that you've let burn too low. One hearth at a time, one choice at a time, one small act of connection at a time. The work continues, the dawn approaches, and the firekeeper walks through ancient corridors, finally understanding what he's really been meant to tend all along. The deep cold hours pass with the steady rhythm of sustained work. Meanwhile, somewhere beyond the narrow sea, in Pentos perhaps or Volantis, dawn is already breaking over different lands. Here on Westeros' eastern edge, darkness still reigns, but you can feel the night beginning to turn toward morning. Not in visible signs yet, but in the subtle shift that happens in the deepest hours, when cold is coldest and darkness is darkest, just before the first hint of change. Time, approximately 3 hours past midnight, 9 hours into your 12-hour watch, 3 hours until dawn and shift end. Your fuel-adding circuits continue with practiced efficiency, but now there's different quality to the work. You're not just maintaining fires, you're present, aware, seeing what you do as part of larger web of care and connection. Great Hall check, 03:59. The fire has burned down to approximately 55% capacity since the midnight gathering. The applewood has mostly consumed, its sweet scent fading, but the foundation of oak and ash continues burning strong. You add substantial fuel for the final time tonight. 4 oak pieces, shorter cut. 2 ash pieces, the fire rebuilds to 75% capacity. This should burn strongly through the remaining 3 hours of your watch and well into Marcus's morning rounds. Time, 6 minutes. Mark on tally stick. Great Hall, final build-up, 03:21. 4 oak plus 2 ash, 75% capacity. Should burn strongly into day watch. As you work, you think about the midnight gathering. 14 people sitting together, sharing martyrs' food, talking, laughing, being present for each other. Small warmth, but real warmth. You make a mental note. Suggest to Sarah that these gatherings happen monthly. Not just at solstice, something regular. Something that reminds everyone they're not just workers, but people. Community, family of choice. Small gift, small effort, but possibly meaningful. Stone drum final circuit, 03:30, 04:15. You ascend the familiar stairs one more time, counting automatically. Your legs are definitely tired now. You've climbed, perhaps 700 steps total tonight, roughly 175 meters of vertical travel, but the end is approaching. 3 more hours, manageable. Level 2, add 2 oak pieces, rebuild to 70%. The fire here will easily last until Marcus's rounds. 4 minutes. Level 3, add 2 oak pieces, rebuild to 70%. 4 minutes. Level 4, guard's common room. Only 1 guard present now, Kaivan taking a brief rest between patrol rounds. He nods greeting when you enter. Alin, Kaivan, you approach the hearth. Quiet night. Aye, cold but quiet. The solstice gathering was good. Nice to see everyone together. It was. You add 3 oak pieces to the hearth. We should do it more often, monthly perhaps. That would be good. Gets lonely working nights. Easy to forget there are other people in the fortress. You understand exactly what he means. I've been thinking the same thing, 18 months here, and I barely knew anyone. But tonight, you pause, choosing words. Tonight I'm realizing what I've been missing. Kievan is quiet for a moment. Then, my wife died 5 years ago. I came here to get away from the memories, but I've learned something. You can't run from grief. It follows you. Better to face it with other people around. Better not to be alone with it. That's wise. Not wise, just earned through hard experience. Kievan looks at the fire you're building. But tonight reminded me, the people here, they're not replacements for what I lost, but they're something, company, connection, that matters. It does. Rebuild to 75% capacity. 5 minutes. Level 4, Servants' Hall. Add 3 oak pieces, rebuild to 70%. 4 minutes. Level 5, Library. Add 2 oak pieces, rebuild to 65%. The books sleep in their shelves, warmed by the fire you tend, holding knowledge you've never explored but might someday. 4 minutes. Level 6, Maester's Chamber. Add 2 oak pieces, rebuild to 60%. More than usual for this empty space, but it's the final circuit of the night. Better to build it up strong than leave it marginal. 4 minutes. Level 7, Small Chamber. Add 2 oak pieces, rebuild to 60%. 4 minutes. Total circuit time, 45 minutes including climbing. You descend for what you hope will be the final time tonight. Down the 196 steps, 28 per level, 7 levels, counting rhythm maintained, legs tired but functional. Wood cellars, final loading, so 4:20, 6th and final loading of the night. Oak pieces, 20 pieces, ash pieces, 6 pieces, total weight, approximately 28 pounds. This will be your lightest loading, just enough for the final sea tower circuit and any touch-ups needed before shift end. Loading time, 7 minutes. You climb back up the 16 steps. Your legs definitely notice this climb. You've descended and ascended these particular cellar stairs perhaps 9 or 10 times tonight. Small repetitive effort, accumulating into significant total work. Like connection perhaps. Small repeated efforts, accumulating into relationship. Sea Tower Final Circuit, Euro 435, Euro 505. The cold is bitter in the Sea Tower. The hour before dawn is always coldest. The earth has been radiating heat all night and has finally reached its minimum. The wind has picked up slightly again, and the temperature is perhaps 5 or 10 degrees below freezing. Lower chamber. The fire shows 50% capacity. You add 3 oak pieces. The cold makes catching slow, but eventually the fire rebuilds to 70%. 5 minutes. Middle chamber. The problematic damper means this hearth is at 40% capacity. You add 4 oak pieces, rebuild to 65%. 6 minutes. Upper chamber. Strong draw keeps this fire at 55% capacity. You add 3 oak pieces. The fire rebuilds quickly to 75%. And as you watch the fire catch and grow, you see the inscription again. Visenya, she who flew with me, 10 AC. 400 years ago, someone loved someone enough to carve their name in stone, to mark that their presence mattered, to ensure memory persisted beyond death. You run your fingers over the carved letters one more time. You'll write that letter to Davin tonight, after your watch ends, but perhaps you'll also write to Marta, and Torin, and Sarah. Small letters, simple words, just acknowledgement, recognition. I see you, you matter. Your presence here matters to me. Small warmth, but real warmth. Rebuild to 75% capacity. 5 minutes. Mark on tally stick. Sea Tower Final Circuit complete. All 3 chambers at 65-75% capacity should burn strongly into day watch. You descend the 64 steps one final time. Your legs appreciate knowing this is the last descent. The work is nearly done. Time. Approximately 05:10. 10 minutes past your scheduled shift end, but that's acceptable. Marcus will be arriving any moment for the handoff. You exit the sea tower and walk the east corridor back toward the main fortress. The torches in their brackets are burning low. They'll need replacing soon, but that's Marcus's concern now, not yours. The fortress is quiet in these pre-dawn hours. The cold has reached its peak. The darkness is complete. But change approaches. Dawn is coming, inexorable as sunrise, inevitable as the turning of seasons. Winter will end eventually. Spring will come, and you'll be there to see it. Having chosen the warm path, having decided to bridge the gap, having committed to presence over absence, the work continues. But now the work has meaning beyond just maintaining fires. Now the work is preparation for the real work. The harder work of connection, of vulnerability, of choosing to be present even when distance seems easier. You return to the maintenance bay, to complete your final tasks before shift end. Marcus arrives at Sor Ivo 3 minutes early, as is his habit. He looks rested, ready for his day's work, carrying his usual items: cup, book, gloves. Evening, he says, the traditional greeting between keepers regardless of actual time of day. And to you. You walk him through the night's work. All hearths currently burning at 65-75% capacity. Gatehouse braziers, last fueled at 01:15, should need attention around mid-morning. Stone drum hearth's final circuit completed at 03:30-04:15, all burning strongly. Great hall fire built up substantially at 3:21 for day watch, should burn well into afternoon. Sea tower hearth's final circuit at 04:35-55, all adequate despite cold. Wind from northeast, temperature approximately 10 degrees below freezing. Coldest night this winter. Marcus nods, making mental notes. Issues? Sea tower middle chamber, damper still showing looseness, not urgent, but worth addressing when you have time. Otherwise, all systems functioning properly. Good work, Marcus pauses. The gathering last night was good. Thank you for helping with that, for participating. Made a difference having everyone there. Thank you for the gloves. I've been wearing them all night. They're good gloves. You're welcome. There's a moment of comfortable silence, then Marcus says, You seem different tonight. Can't quite place it, but different. I had some time to think during the quiet hours about connection, about not taking people for granted, about, you hesitate, then continue, about seeing the people around me instead of just moving through routines. Marcus considers this. That's good. Easy to get isolated in this work, easy to forget there are people beyond the fires we tend. I'm going to try to do better, starting today. Starting how? I'm going to write some letters, real ones, to my family, and maybe to people here too. Small acknowledgements, letting people know they're seen. Marcus smiles slightly. That's good work, maybe more important than firekeeping. Maybe both matter. Maybe both matter. You make your final marks in the duty ledger. Night watch complete. 05:05, Allen Rivers. All duties fulfilled satisfactorily. All hearths burning. 65-75% capacity. No significant issues. Recommend checking sea tower middle chamber damper when time permits. Total fuel consumed. Approximately 140 pieces oak, various lengths, 18 pieces ash, 4 pieces applewood. Weather: clear and bitter cold, wind northeast, temperature approximately 10 degrees below freezing. You place your palm on the duty ledger, making your mark that the shift is complete. Somewhere in the household records, Sarah will note that you fulfilled your duties properly through another night. Marcus takes possession of the maintenance bay, beginning his own assessment of the day's priorities. You gather your personal items, nothing much, just the small cup you keep for water, the new gloves which you'll continue wearing tomorrow, the tally stick you'll file with the others, and the wooden dragon carving which you take from your pocket and hold in your palm one more time before heading to your quarters. The dragon is smooth from years of handling, small enough to hide in a closed fist. Simple craftsmanship, but done with care and love. Davin made this 16 years ago, a gift from a 12-year-old boy to his older brother, a symbol of strength and connection. You've carried it in your pocket for years without really seeing it, without remembering what it represented, but now you see it. Now you remember. And now you'll write the letter that's 16 years overdue. You walk through the corridors toward your quarters. The fortress is warmer than it was 12 hours ago, the cumulative effect of all the fires you've tended, all the heat you've maintained. Stone walls that were cold at sunset now hold warmth and radiate it back. Small persistent effort, accumulating into larger effect. You climb the 28 steps to level 2. Your legs protesting this final climb, but managing it. Your chamber door opens to reveal the small space that serves as your private retreat. 12 feet by 10, containing a bed, small table, chair, and the hearth that you maintain yourself during off-duty hours. The chamber temperature is tolerable, perhaps 50 degrees. The hearth shows cold ash from yesterday. Normally you'd rebuild it before sleeping, but after 12 hours of tending fires, your own can wait. The fortress is warm enough. You remove your work clothes, grey cloak, leather apron, work shirt, work breeches, boots. You hang them properly, fold them with care, place them where they should be. You have separate clothes for sleeping, but you don't change into them yet. Instead you sit at the small table, you light the single candle kept there. You pull out parchment, expensive this, probably 2 days' wages for a single sheet. And your small vial of ink and quill. The wooden dragon carving sits on the table beside the parchment, present and visible. You've never been skilled at writing. Your mother taught you basics, enough to manage ledgers and duty logs, but not fine composition. Your handwriting is unpracticed, uncertain, the letters awkward, but you write anyway. Davin, I know it's been 4 years since I left the Riverlands. I know I promised to write often and visit when I could. I know I haven't kept those promises. I could make excuses. I could tell you about the work here, about how the duties keep me busy, about how the distance makes travel difficult. But those would be excuses, not reasons. The truth is I've been afraid. Afraid that too much time had passed, afraid that you'd all moved on without me, afraid that I'd become just a distant memory, the brother who left and never came back. I've been carrying the dragon you carved for me, the one you gave me for my 16th name day, remember? You worked on it for a week, cut your thumb twice. Mother scolded you for using her kitchen knife. You said it was for strength, so I'd always be strong. I carried it with me when I left home, through 2 years of farm work, a year on a merchant ship, 18 months here on Dragonstone. I've carried it in my pocket all that time, even when I wasn't looking at it, even when I was trying not to think about home. Tonight is the winter solstice, the longest night. I worked my usual 12-hour watch tending the fortress fires, but something happened tonight. I remembered things I'd been trying to forget. I saw things I'd been trying not to see. And I understood something important. Distance is a choice. Absence is not inevitable. I've been choosing to stay away because it seemed easier than facing what I'd been avoiding. But I'm choosing differently now. I can't undo 4 years of absence. I can't erase the gap that's grown. But I can start bridging it, starting with this letter, starting with honest words instead of empty promises. I miss you, Dav. I miss Mother. I miss Tommen. I miss the cottage and the Riverlands and being part of a family. I've been lonely here, not for lack of people around me, but because I've been keeping everyone at distance, keeping myself isolated. I'm going to visit. Not soon. I've learned that soon is how promises die. I'm going to visit in the spring, when the shipping routes are clear and the roads are passable. I'll take leave from my duties and I'll come home. I can't stay long, maybe a week, maybe 2, but I'll come, I promise, and this time I mean it. Until then, I'll write more often. Real letters, not just notes about sending money. I want to know about your life, about Mother, about Tommen, about what's happening in the Riverlands, about everything I've been missing. I still have the dragon you made me. I'll always have it, because it reminds me what I almost lost, and what I'm choosing to keep. Your brother, Alyn, written on Dragonstone, winter solstice, 304 AC, just after dawn. You set down the quill and read what you've written. The handwriting is awkward, the composition is clumsy, but the words are honest, real, true. This letter won't fix 4 years of absence. It won't instantly bridge the gap. But it's a beginning, a choice, a step toward the warm path instead of the cold one. You fold the parchment carefully. You'll seal it properly later when the wax is warm. You'll send it on the next supply ship, probably departing in 3 or 4 days. And then you'll wait. Hope. Trust that Davin will read this and understand. Trust that the gap can be bridged through persistent effort, through small repeated choices to connect instead of isolate. The candle burns low. Dawn light is beginning to seep through the narrow window, pale and grey, but growing stronger. The longest night is ending. The solstice has passed. From this moment forward, each day will be incrementally longer, each night incrementally shorter, until spring arrives months from now. Change is slow, but it's inevitable. And you'll be there to see it, having chosen to change yourself before the seasons change around you. You place the letter carefully on the table beside the wooden dragon. Then you change into sleeping clothes and climb into bed. The blankets are heavy wool, adequate for winter sleeping, even in an unheated chamber. You're warm enough, tired enough, ready for deep, dreamless rest. Your last conscious thought before sleep claims you is simple and satisfied. You saw where you came from. You witnessed the present. You chose the future you want. And now you've begun the work of making that future real. Small warmth, small connection. But in the long winter, that's everything. The firekeeper sleeps. The fires throughout the fortress burn on. Tended now by Marcus, maintained through the cycle of day watch and night watch. And the letter sits on the table, waiting to be sent, waiting to begin bridging the gap, waiting to prove that even after years of distance, connection remains possible for those brave enough to reach across the silence. The work continues, the seasons turn, and small warmth, persistently offered, accumulates into something larger. Love, connection, family, presence, the gifts that matter most 3 months later. The supply ship arrived at midday, bearing the usual cargo, fuel, food, various supplies needed for fortress maintenance, but also letters, small bundle of correspondence for the 14-person household. You're standing in the gatehouse when Sarah brings your letter. She smiles when she hands it to you. She knows what this means. You've told her about writing to Davin, about choosing the warm path. From the Riverlands, she says. Your family? I hope so. You break the seal with trembling hands. The handwriting is uncertain but improving. Davin's been practicing, apparently. Alan, your letter arrived 3 weeks ago. I've read it maybe 20 times. Mother has read it even more. She cries every time, but happy tears, she says. I was angry when I first opened it. 4 years of silence, and now you write? 4 years of excuses, and now you want to reconnect? But I read it again, and again, and I heard something in your words that I hadn't heard before. Honesty, vulnerability, real acknowledgement of what you've done wrong. Not excuses, not promises, just truth. That mattered, Alan. That changed something. You said you'd visit in spring. Mother is already planning what to cook. She's trying to remember all your favourite foods from when you were young. She's cleaning the cottage top to bottom, even though spring is still weeks away. She's preparing like you're coming tomorrow. Tommen asked if you're real. He was 8 when you left. He's 12 now. He doesn't really remember you, but he's curious. He wants to meet his mysterious older brother, who sends money from a distant island. I want you to know something. I still have the original dragon I carved for you. The practice one I made before the good one. It's rough. You can barely tell it's supposed to be a dragon. But I kept it all these years, in case you ever came back. In case I ever got the chance to show you, I've gotten better at carving. I've learned a lot in 16 years. Maybe when you visit, I'll show you. Maybe we'll sit at the table like we used to, and I'll carve something while you watch, and we'll remember what it was like before the gap grew so wide. Come home, Alan. Come home and meet us again. Come home and let us be family again. We're waiting. Your brother, Davin. You read the letter twice, 3 times. The words blur slightly as your eyes water, but you keep reading. They're waiting. They want you to come. The gap can be bridged. Good news? Sarah asks gently. Yes, very good news. I'm glad. You fold the letter carefully, tuck it inside your cloak. The wooden dragon carving sits in your pocket. You carry it visibly now, often taking it out to look at it, to remember what it represents. Sarah, you say, I wanted to tell you something. I've been meaning to say it for weeks, but kept finding reasons not to. But I'm trying to be braver about connection, so... What is it? I see you. I see that you're struggling. I see that you lost your husband and came here to escape the memories. I see that you're drowning sometimes and work is the only thing keeping you afloat. You pause. I can't fix that pain. I can't bring your husband back. But I want you to know, you're not alone. You're seen. You matter. Sarah's eyes fill with tears. Thank you, she whispers. Thank you for saying that. There's going to be another gathering next week. Monthly now, we decided. Will you come? I will. Good. You leave the gatehouse and walk through the fortress. Spring is coming. You can feel it, not in visible signs yet, but in the subtle shift of seasons. The cold is less bitter. The wind carries different scent. The darkness is retreating, day by day, as the solstice promise fulfills itself. The sun is returning. You've been writing letters, not just to Davin, but to others. Marta thanking her for the solstice meal and acknowledging her hidden grief. Torren supporting his decision to visit his family. He went last month, spent 2 weeks with his wife and children, came back changed. Khyven, sharing your own experience of loss and isolation. Small words, simple acknowledgements, but meaningful. And you've been talking more, learning people's stories. The guards in the common room, Royce, Bors, Khyven, you know them now, really know them. Their histories, their struggles, their hopes. Willem the blacksmith has been teaching you metalwork during your off hours. Alice from the rookery has been showing you how to tend the ravens. You've been reading books from the library, slowly, awkwardly, but learning. Connection takes effort. Presence requires choice. But the effort is worth it. The choice is right. You reach your quarters and sit at the small table. The wooden dragon carving sits in its customary place. Beside it, the letter from Davin. You pull out another piece of parchment. You're getting better at writing. Still not elegant, but clearer, more confident. Davin, your letter arrived today. Thank you. Thank you for being willing to let me try again. Thank you for waiting. I've been making arrangements with the steward. I can take leave for 2 weeks in late spring, probably around the 5th or 6th moon. I'll take ship from Dragonstone to King's Landing, then travel overland to the Riverlands. 2 weeks won't fix 4 years, but it's a start, and then I'll come again, and again. Not waiting years between visits, but coming regularly, making the effort, being present. Tell Mother I remember what she used to cook. Tell Tommen I'm looking forward to meeting the brother I never really knew. Tell everyone I'm coming home, not to stay. Dragonstone is my work, my responsibility, and I honour that. But to visit, to reconnect, to bridge the gap. I'll see you in spring, brother. Your brother, Alan. You seal the letter. You'll send it with the next ship, and then you lie down to rest. Sleep comes easier now. The weight of guilt has lifted. The isolation has broken. You're still the firekeeper, still tending hearths through the long nights. But now the work has context, purpose, meaning beyond just maintaining temperatures. You keep fires burning so people can stay warm. You maintain systems so people can survive winter. You create small warmth so larger warmth becomes possible. And in return, you're learning to accept warmth yourself. Learning to be part of community. Learning that isolation was never safety, just slow freezing. Spring is coming. The snows will melt. The roads will clear. The ships will sail. And you'll go home. Not forever, but for a visit. Not to stay, but to reconnect. Not to undo the past, but to change the future. Small steps, small choices, small gifts of presence and attention. But in the long winter, in any long winter, whether of seasons or of soul, small warmth is everything. The firekeeper sleeps, the fortress stands, the fires burn on, tended through the eternal cycle of day and night. And somewhere in the Riverlands, a family waits for spring, preparing for the return of a brother who left, but chose to come back, who ran but chose to stop running, who isolated but chose to reconnect. The ghost in the hearth fire has shown its visions, the dragon spirits have spoken their truths, the longest night has passed, and the firekeeper has learned what he needed to learn, that you cannot move forward until you remember where you came from, that the present winter is full of hidden struggles that require acknowledgement and presence, that the future winters divide between cold paths of isolation and warm paths of connection, and the choice is yours to make, over and over, every day. Small warmth, small connection, small persistent effort. In the long winter, that's everything. The work continues, the seasons turn, and love, given freely and persistently, accumulates into something that no winter can destroy. The story ends, the fires burn on, and the firekeeper dreams of spring. Meanwhile, in fortresses and cottages across Westeros, in great castles and small holdings, through the long winter nights, people tend fires, people maintain warmth. People choose every day, every moment, between isolation and connection, between absence and presence, between the cold path and the warm. The dragons are gone from Dragonstone. The glory has faded. The grand history has reduced to simple maintenance. But the hearths still burn. The warmth persists, and in the flames, if you look carefully on the longest nights, you might see shapes, might hear voices, might receive visions that teach what you need to learn. Or perhaps you'll just see fire doing what fire does, burning, warming, illuminating the darkness with small persistent light. Either way, the work continues. The night deepens and eventually passes. The dawn comes, inevitable as breathing, persistent as heartbeat. And the firekeepers, all of us in our various ways, tend what needs tending, maintain what needs maintaining, choose what needs choosing. Small warmth, small connection, small persistent effort. In the long winter, that's everything. The story is complete, the watch is ended, and somewhere in the hearthfire, a ghost smiles, satisfied that the truth has been seen and understood and chosen. Sleep well, friend. May your own fires burn warm. May your own connections persist. May you choose the warm path when the choice arrives. The night is long, but dawn always comes. Always. Good night.